All right, what's poppin', Tub Nation? Welcome to Tub Takes. This is a video podcast where we go over what's been making waves in the VGC scene. Today, I am joined by Adi.
Hello, everyone.
We also have Nails
Hello, everyone.
and Chuppa.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. At least I think that's what Adi says. I would never watch one of his videos. Anyway, we got a big one. This is just so huge, so excited. I'm sure several people in here already know and are already ready for us to talk about Day 2 Swiss. There was a really sick news drop for them to drop on us right before we started, but we're gonna...
Phenomenal timing by TPCI.
Yeah, no, they knew. They were like, Tub Takes is in like an hour. Send the tweet. But anyway, what we're gonna be doing is, I guess I should explain what we normally do here on Tub Takes, which is just, give a rundown of, tournaments that were, taking place over the last week. We talk about metagame trends and current events, like, Day 2 Swiss being announced. We'll also be answering your questions. I got a lot of replies to the tweet earlier that I posted asking for questions on the show. Too many, honestly, and especially with the news that we got announced today and the tournament. I'm going to see how much of that we can get to. And lastly, want to mention that this is going to be on YouTube on Wednesday. On Adi's channel, CK49 on YouTube. So if you aren't going to be able to stay here for the whole thing live, you can catch the rest of it over there on YouTube. And that's pretty much all I got to mention here at the top. But yeah, we are going to be talking about Orlando to start, and then we're going to be moving on to Day 2 Swiss and some of the questions after that. So bear with us. I know everybody wants to talk about Day 2 Swiss, but we'll I don't know. Orlando's also so big. It's just such a big week. And as you guys saw in the title, all four of us cut. So that's a spoiler for, I guess, one of the first questions that we're going to be asking. But yeah, we're going to start with Orlando Regionals. How did you guys do? We'll start with Adi. Oh, sorry, Nick. Nick started talking, so Nick, why don't we start with you?
I'll go first because I did the worst. I got top 32.
Oh, wait. What position did you finish in top 32, though? You were above me.
That's fair. I was like 10th seed out of Swiss. So that probably makes me like around 20th or 21st.
Let me go open it up.
Maybe up to like 19th.
Wait, you were the 10th seed? You were the second highest X2?
Yes. Nails had a really good schedule.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I played a 9-1 and then I had 5, 8, and 2s on my schedule.
Nails was 20th.
Yeah.
My
crazy.
schedule was just crazy.
I played the 9th seed in top 16. So there was a real chance, had things bounced a little differently, that we could have played in top 16, which would have been crazy. But yeah, I finished in top 16. I lost to the eventual winner, which is on screen, I guess, right now, Wolf Glick. And yeah, so top 16. First time I've won a game in top cut. Third straight regional up top cut, but first time I've won a game, so that's exciting.
Progress.
We're getting somewhere. I finished in 4th place. I lost to Ashton, who got 2nd.
I also was eliminated in the top 32 to James Evans, who also finished in the top 4 with Chuppa. On the other side of the bracket. Sorry, I'm eating some apples and peanut butter, as I do. Okay. So, there's a lot of stuff to say about the results, but before we launch into all that, just wanted to talk about jump to the past. San Diego. How do you guys think this event compared to that? Let's get all of our complaining out of the way early. And then, we'll move on forward towards the good stuff.
Yeah. Don't want to spend too much time on it since a lot of the problems I guess not all the problems. There were some logistical issues. So I heard that the printer broke when they were trying to print off the team sheets, and they had to just run to some store. I don't remember what it was, and just print off all the sheets, and it sounded like it was their contingency plan in place. but they locked team sheets just like what was team. It was like an hour and a half before round one was scheduled to start, and
It was
so they
7:30,
were
right?
what? Yeah, it was
It was
7:30,
like
and then round
7:30.
one was supposed to be 9 o'clock, and so they uh just had an hour and a half to put out a fire, and it was a fire that should have just been like taken care of before then. Like you don't expect to have the printer break, but even then, it's still like a logistical headache to hand out all the sheets, and um, so that like after dealing with it at San Diego, I just personally decided that I didn't mind the early deadline on team submission. Um, like I tend to have my teams ready ahead of time, but for some of the people who are chronic like procrastinators with team submission, it was just nice to be able to like uh, just like have it done and out of the way, and like everybody's on an even playing field. Um, some other people definitely like to tinker, but yeah, what do you guys think of it?
Well,
I don't like the way that it was handled at this event quite as much. I think, like you said, it just really opens the gate to logistical issues that don't need to exist if you're locking on Friday. I think it's just really easy to lock Friday instead. Build better habits. Don't like make last second decisions Friday night. We've all been there, but I think it's something that just with practice you can avoid doing that. I think it's just so much better to do Friday lock like we did at San Diego. It makes everything go so much more smoothly.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like it does kind of suck to have to lock in Friday night. I know people who made either small changes or big changes that the night of, and it is nice to be able to get in a hotel room with your friends who you maybe you built with or you just practice with, and make a decision when you're in the same room instead of in a Discord call when everyone's traveling on different days. But it's just not worth the hassle. It really did delay us by like I think a full 90 minutes. I remember I was sitting across from my round one opponent, just like needed to go to the bathroom really badly, but did not want to leave, and then have them be like, "Yeah, round one's starting right now." And so just sitting there like miserable for the entire first round. And
So a couple of players near me had the good solution of both of them get up and go to the bathroom because what are they going to do? Give both of us a game lost? And I like I thought that was a really cool solution to the problem. Yeah, actually, I have to go to the bathroom too. Let's go.
That's
Funny
awesome.
system.
I love that. I love that so much. Wow. And so, you guys are, I don't know, you guys mentioned that the late lock was a factor. Did us not sitting alphabetical have anything to do with it?
My thought on that is that if they just had us go to our spots, they had the printer set up where they could just like print off everybody's sheet by seating order. And if that's the case, then that's like good, and it just saves everybody moving around.
It does.
Um,
It didn't really slow down San Diego, though, in my opinion. Like, honestly, they, after the players meeting where they told us how it's going to go down and handed out those sheets while we were all sitting alphabetical order, it felt like 15, 20 minutes at most for them to just, like, get our pairings up and get the round started. So,
the slow part of San Diego's process was they didn't post everybody's alphabetical order seats online. They only had that with paper pairings, and so everybody had to stand in line.
Oh, that's true.
On their spot. And so after everything got moving, it was good, but there was like a front-loaded delay instead of a delay in the middle, and so the delay still existed. And if they had this, everybody just go to your round one seat, that was going to save like 15 or 20 minutes. And I think it, I don't know that it was implemented. I'm just like guessing that they, like it would be such a nightmare to have everybody's sheets handed out by, like if the printer is spitting them out alphabetically. So I'm assuming the printer is spitting them out by seats, and then just the judges have a stack and they hand them down, and that's what it seemed like was going on. And so if they do that, then yeah, they do save the 15 to 20 minutes of everybody standing in a line waiting to pick a board.
I love the way that you're phrasing it, Nick. Is like it's like we're like doing like a speed run. You know, like this is like really cool tip to cut 15 to 20 minutes on the run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, genuinely. Like, and I think that it's like it's good tech from like whoever was TOing. Like this is a good development. We saw an issue, and it was addressed, and then the printer broke.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
It looks like Justin just said in chat that they did to pair everyone before they could start printing things out, because that way they wouldn't have to that way they could print it out in the right order, so that they could, like, sorting 800 team sheets in alphabetical order or in order of table number is difficult, and so you want to print it out in the right order so it's easy to just hand them out
yes,
one at a time. And so in order to hand it out at the table that you were supposed to be sitting at, they had to pair everyone, which was funny because I was waiting in line to get like my wristband so I could get into the venue. And we found out pairings were up. But yeah, like if they do that, that's fine. Like it's not great to have pairings up significantly before, in case like there is information leaked or whatever. It's back up for me now.
Okay, yeah, I had a reconnecting thing, but it's back.
Do you
Okay,
record
people are
locally?
saying back now. So, Nick, sorry to cut you off. If you could maybe rewind.
okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, like info. Basically, I was just saying that well, like round one, the information leak from uh, or information leaking from pairings being up an hour ahead of time is like heavily minimized. You just don't have like stuff you can do. But I've also just found that scouting with in an open team sheets world is like really insignificant. Like the only it's
Yep.
not completely minimal. You can still like having extra time to game plan is valuable. Um, and like will make you win more games if you consistently have that over your opponent. But if it's just a couple of minutes while you're also trying to walk there, do your game, it's like whatever. Knowing some clutch EV spreads can be beneficial for sure. But those are not that frequent. Like they're going to come up at least a couple times in a tournament if you have like a perfect scouting network, but it's not exceptionally reliable. And like the margins on having scouting are just way smaller. It's scouting is like, I'm not trying to say it's completely gone and irrelevant, but massively reduced in terms of how important it is.
And speaking of having extra time to game plan, I know Chuppa has a story about this. I also have a story about this. My round one. So they gave out team sheets, and I think there was another technical issue on one of the tables. And so it took a little longer to start. My opponent went and ran to the bathroom in that time, and they left their team sheet face up on the table. So I just got to read their entire team sheet, and had like 20 minutes before round one started just to think about how I was going to approach it. And I mean, I don't know if it really mattered because it was a team that I'd seen before. It was super standard team. I kind of knew how to play against it, but that happened. And then Chuppa, you want to tell your story?
I'm not sure if I will. I think the delay was like kind of funny generally, and there's just a lot of like silly things that ended up happening, I'm pretty sure one of my opponents was just like practicing on Showdown before we played, and that was just like really goofy. I don't know. I hate being on Showdown inside the venue, and if it helps you get ready for a round, that's great. But it's just like, oh, we have a whole hour to kill. You can do a lot of things with that hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really funny. Oh my god. Yeah, no, Chuppa had some great stories. You should definitely check out his Twitter if you want to follow along with some of the experiences he got to have. The Orin Guru story was cracking me up.
Dude, you be on the lookout for Knoxville. I promise you.
Yeah, I love that.
So we do have confirmation from 9-1 Swiss performer George Tifferman that he did play and lose 2 ladder games before it started.
I thought that was Ashton's move. Ashton tweeted out about the same. That's so funny.
I mean, yeah, I did see Ashton's tweet, but I mean, George is just in chat right now.
Yep,
Maybe it's Ashton on George's account.
Maybe it is. That's true. Could they be the same person?
Has anyone seen them in the same room before?
So
I sure haven't.
So what were some of our other thoughts on Orlando? I guess just as the event was run. So the lunch break felt like it was a little longer than normal, which did not help getting things done quickly. Like we ended at what 11 what, something 11 something.
Lunch break. Oh, yeah, the lunch break it ended
We
at 2:30. The tournament ended at like 11.
Mm-hmm.
the hack check ended. We got to leave the venue at 11:30. I remember thinking if I went to bed right now, I would have exactly 8 hours of sleep before I had to be back.
And nobody had
at
time to eat dinner.
11:45.
It's not like you get a dinner break at these events. So.
No IHOP break.
Yo, we all did actually go to IHOP, the four of us here,
Yep.
and yeah, just to get some food. Also, that's a pretty slow service at the IHOP, unfortunately, but
We really got some slow service at the IHOP, but that's neither here nor there. The play was, by the way, to get the omelet and the pancakes and eat half of it there and eat the other half while walking to the venue. I think I like maximized the amount of sleep I could have milked out of that morning pretty well by just like stashing breakfast in the fridge.
I
the
think it's funny that a couple of us like kind of converged on the CVS in the morning too. It's like, oh yeah, need bananas. Shout outs Gina. Need a Starbucks double shot in a can.
yep.
They got it all.
Oh yeah, that was funny in the morning. I had as a just fun little story. We were just like, I just want to go. I told Gina, I was like, I just want to go to like CVS, see if they have like fruit. I just want to eat like a banana and just have that for my breakfast. We walk into the CVS and then somebody else walks in and turns out it's Chuppa. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we got somebody else to split these bananas with, and then like a third person walks in and it's none other than Carson. And we're like, all right, we have another person to give a banana to. So we just had the three of us just all like randomly unplanned meet up at CVS and walk together. It was pretty cool.
The bananas were all gone by the time I saw you guys in line because I would have taken a banana.
We had 4 bananas.
Yeah,
What,
Dude,
me,
you got a
Gina?
whole omelet. You don't need a banana too. You're eating good.
Yeah, that's true. You had a
I
plan.
did-
You
I
had
did
your
have
own
a
plan.
good breakfast, but it was like protein and carbs, and I would have taken a fruit.
So 7:45, they had us have to be back there at 7:45, and that felt pretty early. I feel like that's earlier than most other events that I've seen. Which
Yes,
was
that
like
was when the venue opened.
and like that which was especially rough. Yeah, that's a fun side point, or I guess like related point, Nick, is that like we showed up at 7:45 and we had to like just like get in line for when it was opening. I don't know, like it was 45 minutes for them to do their checks on like the hack checks on our switches and stuff. And then I also had to rewind the timeline a little bit to 3:19 a.m. or so was when the team sheets were posted online. Yeah. So
Okay,
go ahead, Adi.
that is actually really notable because yeah, at San Diego, team sheets were posted at a pretty reasonable time for you to like look over the opponent's team sheet, talk to the people, talk to your friends, formulate a game plan, and still get a decent amount of sleep, not a full night's sleep, but enough sleep. If you stayed up till 3 a.m., you were obviously you to leave your hotel by like 6:30. Like you were not getting any sleep, and so you maybe had your walk over to look at team sheets. That's pretty ideal, except you have to remember that most people who are on stream also top cut. So for someone like me, I was not on stream. My opponent, Luca, was on stream, and so I had the entire night to look at his 6 Pokemon. And I didn't have full information, but I had enough information to like think about it, formulate a game plan, talk to like Nails about how I would approach it. And that was and yeah, like shout out Rajan, he like watched the stream and took HP numbers down, so I had an idea of how bulky they were and stuff like that. And he might have had no information about my team at all until we sat down across from each other, or at least until he got to the venue and had time to stare at his phone for a little bit. So that actually does make a huge difference when team sheets are posted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually really benefited from Dozo friend of mine, like who lives in Europe and who saw the teams when they were posted, I guess looks at the sheet and is like, hey, here's some thoughts on how I think you can approach the matchup because he's up at like 3 a.m. because it's a different time zone. That's not something that I would have been able to do, or just anybody else at the venue with me, probably like sleeping in until the tournament actually starts. It's just like, wow, that's just kind of silly that I get an advantage that way instead of like, no, the sheets get posted at 11 at night or whatever, and it's like kind of up to me to figure it out and not rely on somebody who's awake at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
It's
that is
just
a good
really
point.
not as good as it was in San Diego.
Okay, here's a thought. What would you guys think of just having all of the sheets like so after they just like clicked a box on Arcanine and made all of the sheets public. And so like all of the 700 odd players in the tournament, like you can check their 24 moves, 6 items, etc. What would you think about just having that be the case starting round 1?
I don't think I like that. I don't think I want to incentivize people for trying to come up with like good plans between rounds. And as you go later into the tournament, you're going to be able to say stuff like, "Oh, I had a quick round. Here's somebody scary at the same record with me. Let me spend like 15 to 20 minutes thinking about what I might do into this one team." That's just not really something I want to incentivize for Swiss. I think that's a
Yeah,
good
that's
box to
okay.
tick as soon as Swiss is over, but not sooner than that.
Yeah, sure. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, and I'm convinced by your argument.
Yeah, no, I thought when Nick originally said it, I was like, Nick's got a good idea here, and then Chuppa comes up with some good points too. This is tough, but no, that's some good insight. Um, yeah, because I'm sure several other people are probably wondering the same thing. I was kind of wondering something similar when it was announced that the sheets were posted, and I was like, okay, let's go to the link. Oh, it's not just the top cut; it's literally the whole tournament. I had to search for my opponent. I was like, this is kind of crazy. That was like something that happened just like a week or two ago, right? Where they had released all of the sheets from Liverpool and San Diego, I think. I don't think they had done that like right after the events. I thought that they had like recently
Oh
posted
wait,
like
did they release like everybody's sheets from San Diego?
I thought maybe I'm just making stuff up. Um,
I didn't know
Like I
they
remember
released all the sheets from
like
anything.
there was just a PDF of 32 pages of team sheets that had been like curated for San Diego, and that was fun to browse through.
got it.
Um, but yeah, I didn't. And maybe they did publish all of the sheets. I just don't know from San Diego.
Something else that I think needs to be said about the event that we have not yet mentioned is um is the stream. The stream. Like they do I think they have some kind of maybe labor law something that they can't stream long enough to do the full 10-round day. This seemed to be even the case last year when we were having 9 rounds, where they would start streaming after round 2. I think they would start streaming with round 3, and this tournament was running so long, and I think they probably planned to start streaming when the players expected to start playing round 1. So then they actually had to cut it early, and they didn't even stream round 10, the ultimate last round, to show like who makes it into cut, who doesn't. Those are some of the craziest games you can have on stream, and we were robbed of that content. That's kind of just insane. We'll be talking a bit more about that in relation to day 2 Swiss, because I had some questions about how that's going to pertain to that, but that was something crazy at this event. Oh, Maeve just answered and said, yeah, it's a contract issue, nothing we can do about it, and that day 2 Swiss will make it better.
Yeah, I was on stream for round 9, and it was funky to like be over there and see that they're going into the day 1 recap, and it's like, wait, what? I don't, huh?
Wait. Round 9?
Yeah, I was on stream for round. I was the last stream.
Oh, yes. That's what you mean. Okay.
On round 9, and like, so I get off the stage. I like am hanging out around the stream area, and I look at the stream, and they're teasing the day 1 recap starting in like 3 minutes or whatever, and there's like a clock, and I'm like, wait, are they just recapping the day? Like, I'm aware that the labor exist, and that they have to shut it down, and that's why they didn't start the stream until around 3. That's they had a typo in a tweet, and it was funny. But yeah, like I thought that they were potentially still going to stream round 10, but I didn't know that round 10 was just not streamed. So yeah, anybody who just like scrolled to the end of the VOD and watched the last set got to see me get my ass kicked.
No.
I got
There's
beat
just so
down.
many like kind of unusual laws about streaming, like certain states, like what, for Atlantic City regionals, like there's just some laws that make streaming in New Jersey like way harder than it should be for no real reason. The labor laws here just feel like another thing where just like, oh, there's kind of just some forces outside of our control that make getting nice streams for these events harder, and it's like nothing to do about it. It just kind of stinks.
Okay, yeah. Mm, if you're following along in the little Twitch chat thing, then you can see this. But it's according to Maeve, it's about how long the people can work between days. So they have to stop at a certain time to start at a certain time the next day.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
really appreciating the insight, Maeve. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Also,
thanks, Rick.
shout outs to Maeve for the caster debut this weekend. Really awesome. I have not gotten to check out any of the games yet, but I'm sure Maeve killed it. Let's see. So, I somebody else linked this as well. So thank you to Mr. Darth Bean. Um, I was right. They made all the lists public for San Diego and Liverpool. They did this at the same time, as I said, like about a week ago or something, January 27th. So yeah, thank you so much for going and finding that information.
And we have some really fun data that we can play with from well, I guess from those events too, but Series 1's kind of over. We had some really fun data from from Orlando that we're going to be showing off in a little bit too, because we have access to all the team sheets and not just the top 128 or top 32.
We have it
But
all.
I guess we should probably start talking about the actual results of the tournament at some point, huh?
Yeah, let's see. Is there anything else that we needed to mention in terms of the way the event was? Some of the like in the event things, but not the actual Pokemon, because there's plenty of Pokemon to talk about. But
I just need to shout out the Twitch chat. Doing this podcast live is so much better than recording it than uploading it. Because yeah, the chat's great. So,
yeah, no, chat
great
is
day.
so good. You just like say something that like you need an answer to, and the chat's just like, I got you. You guys are all real, real homies. So, anyway,
Being
yeah,
fun.
let's go ahead and talk about the actual tournament. We got the results here on Victory Road. Also, we've got Wolf's tweet here. Spoilers, guys. Sorry if you are watching the podcast but didn't finish watching the stream yet. Wolf won. Wolf won the biggest regional in like modern history, whatever. I don't know. You could just call it the biggest regional. Everyone, yeah, Wolf has it here as I won the biggest Pokemon tournament of all time, and honestly, I'm not gonna contest him on that just because like it's an 800 person, 780 person tournament that happened in Scarlet and Violet. I love the Where's Wolf. We can't even escape the Where's Wolf comments here. No.
Hey, if we call this I'm sure Angel would point out that there were bigger regionals in like 2011 or 2012 or something. But if Wolf's calling this the biggest regional of all time, surely that means that his regional wins from 2011 and 2012 don't count, right?
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It just means they're less significant than this one.
That is true. That is objectively true.
Yeah.
And like,
I like to call it the biggest modern regional. Like we've had bigger events than this before. I don't want to just pretend like this is the biggest ever. It's the biggest modern one.
Yeah. And like, there's also some Smogon tournaments that dwarf this. Like, the official Smogon tournament, Smogon's biggest tournament every year, and I think it's peaked 3,000 entrants. Like, so.
I mean,
Uh,
technically, the biggest tournament of all time was won by your one and only Rajan Ball.
it actually was. That was a 100,000 player.
100,000?
Yeah, no, there were 100,000 entrants for the first online IC in 2017.
Oh, sure. I see now.
They were giving away Mega Stones, and it was like the only way to get them in the game was to sign up for the IC. And so yeah, there was actually 100,000 entrants for it. Rajan won it with a 1902 score. I got second with a 1901 score, and my record was a game better than Rajan's. But I'm not salty about that. 6 years later.
Glad to see that you've moved on, and that some of the details are starting to slip because it's fading into memory.
Oh no! I was 39 and 16. He was 38 and 7. The details are fresh.
Oh no! Let's talk about Wolf's team here. So Wolf won with Perish Trap, something that Wolf is pretty known to use. I mean, people say that, but like I'm trying to think of like everyone's talking about the old 2015 regional win, where famously enough he actually took it over Ashton in the finals, all the way back then. And Wolf is I guess he's definitely done some other Perish things that I just can't think of off the top of my head, but he does it again here with the new Perish Pokemon in Screamtail and Fluttermane, surrounded by some maybe more familiar faces in Gothitelle, Amoonguss, and Arcanine, and then lastly Palafin rounding it out as a nice like secondary win con, just putting everything into Jet Punch range. And yeah, this is a really cool team. Wolf went, I think, 8-2 in Swiss, losing to Chongjin earlier, and then actually Nick here in round 8. And then ended up, making a tear through the tournament. Actually, here, where I have the bracket somewhere here, so you can see who all. Actually, wait, was it on that page with his schedule too?
It was on that page with
Oh,
the
okay. So yeah, the cut schedule's here too. So taking down Adi also. I guess Adi also played him. Yeah, Adi had mentioned that earlier. Emilio, James Evans, Ashton, crazy run. I guess, as we'd already said, the biggest tournament. This is just such an incredible run. And honestly, like, Wolf winning is just so good for the game. It's no secret that it's no secret that Wolf is like becoming a bigger and bigger content creator as the days go by. He's probably gonna hit 1 million subscribers this year, and yeah, him putting that onto his YouTube channel or whatever other forms of media he's on, and just getting the word out.
It's going to be good for the game's numbers. I can't deny it. Like I've had some beef with Wolf in the past, and we've mostly squashed that, like largely. But like even coming from that, like Wolf winning is objectively just very good for the game.
Something that I think is fun to mention, now that I'm thinking about it, is the team that Burns used last weekend. I'll mention that really quick, just because I think it's a funny story. So this team looks pretty close to the team that Burns won that online Limitless tournament. I think was it a Nino Poke Bros. I think that he'd won last weekend with 5 of the same 6 Pokemon and a lot of the same sets. It turns out that the person that Kunal had seen on ladder using this and dropped at me. He just said, like, shared it with me. Was none other than Wolf playing on Pokemon Showdown. Wolf also played in a Limitless tournament on an alt. And yeah, it turns out that this was just Wolf the whole time. Wolf had this team built pretty much like close to its final form all the way back. Like January 16th was the day that Kunal had originally shared this team with me. I actually like streamed with it 2 days later, like played like a couple games on low ladder before deciding like I don't get it, I can't handle it. This team just doesn't work for me. Then we made our changes, and Burns ended up winning that Limitless tournament. But that didn't stop Wolf. It didn't matter that his team was basically like stolen, used to win a tournament 1 week in advance. Wolf said like, I've got the best stuff. I know what I'm doing. The changes they made to it were just downgrades. This is well, Adi shakes his head.
Well, all I'll say is Wolf was probably the best player in the tournament. I'll give him that. I don't know if the changes were downgrades.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get Screamtail. I said that to Wolf over the weekend. I came up to him. I was like, hey, I didn't even know it was you. I didn't intend to steal your team. I just saw like a cool Parish team on ladder and was like, hey, let's run this. I want to get some clout. I want to get some content.
Do you want me to tell you that Screamtail? Like,
yeah, I was like, I did ask that. I was like, so what's up with Screamtail? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. I dropped it right away. But yeah.
It also like I needed to play a tournament with the team. So I'm gonna like talk like I'm an expert on Parish, but this is literally the first time in my VGC career that I have loaded up the Move Parish song on a team. I'm like 95% that's true, but I'm just rolling with it because I'm pretty sure I haven't. It like fits me as a player, and I've been around like a bunch of Parish players, but just kind of haven't. Yeah, like the Screamtail, it is nice to be able to contest offense. Like I think it's really, or at least pretty physically bulky, and it disabling stuff like protect into disable is just a really cool line into a lot of just like offensive stuff that you need to respond to when you're playing hard Parish. And It's obviously like Cresselia level bulk, and
Wait, new
it
crest or
just
old crest?
it's not actually there for either of them, but it's like it's when you add the fairy typing, it starts to get into the same ballpark.
Something that I think should be pointed out about Wolf's team is, and this isn't, uncommon for a team built around Parish Song and Parish Trap specifically, it has 6 protects. Protects on all of the Pokemon. So we had talked about that being good in open team sheet. It makes it so that all of your opponent's moves have a bit more uncertainty into them. You can't just freely double into a slot without, wasting your turn into a protect. And so that is something that is, I think, definitely worth pointing out. But, kind of comes with the territory there. Parish Trap wants to be able to kill time while the Parish counter ticks down. What was the other thing I wanted to point out about it? Go ahead.
I mean, I've got a bunch that I can say about the team because I ran a very similar comp to his at the tournament. I thought the Palafin was really cool, and I wish I'd considered it more, but I locked in on Bundle, and Bundle was merely decent. Wolf's Arcanine choice was really cool. For those who don't know, he's like nearly max attack on his dog.
Oh yeah, the
or,
ED spread was
or
like
might be max attack, which just like messes up bulky Goldango. Goldango's immune to Perish Song and immune to Spore and immune to Disable, and immune to Fake Out. Like it just gets through all of your control tools. So having Arcanine there to just yeet it from the game to get it out of there is a really cool touch. There are some other choices that I thought our version did better, but like overall, Wolf hit on more of the big points than we did. And I'll probably get into that on the team report, which you can catch on Adi's YouTube channel. But
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking a lot more about our team and our, kind of how we built it out and our thoughts on Parish and in the team report that will be coming out sometime in the next week or two. But obviously, Nels and I also cut with a team that had a pretty hard Parish mode without committing nearly as much to Parish as Wolf did. Marcus also cut with, I think, Justin's exact Limitless team. Maybe he made some small changes to it.
It had a good number of set changes, but it was the same 6.
Yeah, so like it is cool that the team that Wolf was using actually inspired 3 other teams that ended up top cutting this regional and doing quite well. And kind of goes to show that, like I really do think that I don't know if his team was the best team of the bunch. He was probably the best player piloting it. And that definitely contributed. But yeah, it's cool to see that Wolf really changed the metagame just by laddering with Perry's song and showing everyone else how to build it.
Yep.
I'd also argue that his tournament run was at least partly he had the better team, so this is going to sound like open. It kind of is, but he also hit matchups and had stuff break his way. Like,
of course, that's just the nature of winning any tournament.
That's not trying to take away. Like, that's true for pretty much every tournament winner. So it's like, I guess that should go without saying. So.
Ooh, I just remembered something that was
really
slipping.
Interested to hear.
Ahead,
sorry, Alex.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to watch the inevitable like Wolf video about it because, like you guys pointed out, it seems like he was pretty close to locking in this team like 2-3 weeks before the tournament, and I'm really excited to just hear about like I don't know locking in a team that far before the tournament in a meta that's like quite as fast developing as Series 2 is really interesting. So I'm already realizing like wow, I'm so excited to hear about that.
That aspect is incredibly impressive for what it's worth. Just like having your team relatively locked down and saying that my stuff is the best. I don't need all that extra time. I have my answer. Good luck, everybody. Have fun.
Yeah, true.
That's genuinely like crazy. Like I was like building my team and I just kept iterating and iterating and iterating. And I eventually just kind of backed my way into having the Parish mode on the team. And then like without, again, it's getting into Team Recordy territory. But I was just playing bulky balance like Arcanine, Among Us, and I tried a ton of different iterations. The Iron Hands on our team was always there, and generally always doing the Sword Stance stuff that it was doing. And Parish Song got thrown onto the Flutter main like the Monday or Tuesday before, and then after that we just decided, we have Parish, might as well throw Gothitelle on, and then in the tournament the Parish mode was phenomenal. Like it all, I auto won half my sets from preview during Swiss.
So
Just opponent didn't have enough counterplay to it, and
something that I
Parish
wanted to ask, because we obviously saw how it played out for Ashton in the finals on stream, and that was the Parrish versus Dondozo. I was curious, Chuppa, do you think that you had a matchup into Wolf, or was it going to be similarly rough? I guess Ashton took it to 3 games, so it
Probably-
was close, but
Yeah, I'd say it was probably kind of similar. Like Ashton had a substantially bulkier Golden Go than I did. I think. I think it came out that his Golden Go had maybe like 1 in 8 to live that Arcanine Flare Blitz. My Golden Go was not doing that.
okay.
So that's yeah. Gosh, let me think. I think no Iron Hands definitely hurts in that matchup. Like I could be wrong. Maybe Palmont getting off a huge revival blessing like is something that could work out for me, but not having this like Iron Hands to pivot around and just like be in at multiple points in the game and not feel like too pressured by anything. I think that would be really good. I think also like with Screamtail just outrunning Palmot, and I have a feeling Play Rough like knocks it to Sash or something really near it, and then Palpin and back to Jet Punch it. I feel like it probably would have been even rougher. It wasn't something I thought about too extensively just because like I don't know, I tend to focus on the matchup that's in front of me.
I like
No
that.
point worrying about Wolf if I can't get past Ashton first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a feeling it also would have been kind of tough.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, we got the Among Us nickname themes here. This is probably a good point to mention. Yeah, as Adi was very proud of and tweeted about the Smart Money. We actually kind of did pretty well with our Smart Money picks. 4 out of 4 picks top cut. To remind everybody, Z picked Emilio, Burns picked Kevin Salvetto, Audie picked Paul Chua, and I picked none other than Chuppa Cross. And so, man, I was really thinking Chuppa was going to do it. I was like, I'm really going to get my Smart Money pick. This is going to be so sick. I can't believe it. That was so pretty crazy that we
the
saw
money was
such.
smart.
The Smart Money was smart. In fact, I guess we did our research. So anyway, that's just kind of a fun little thing. Let's talk a bit about we have all the teams here, but I kind of wanted to talk about the metagame in general. And so I was gonna check out the Top Cut Explorer tool. And this is gonna be kind of near one of the discussion questions I had later. We could probably just kind of like fit it in now, which is just like Pokemon that did better than we thought, Pokemon that didn't do as well as we thought. And I'm going to go ahead and go first to steal an obvious one and to also give you guys time to think maybe. I'm going to go ahead and go with Gothitelle. Can you believe Gothitelle was 4th in usage in Top Cut? Like, what? That is so crazy. It is not a Pokemon that you think of as 4th in usage, at least going into the tournament. I think that's just so crazy that so many players landed on it. And, I mean, in some similar routes, like there was Wolf and a couple of Wolf-inspired teams, but there was also some teams that were not very related to that. There was, like, James Evans using Gothitelle, Toller using Gothitelle as well. I can't remember if Justin Karras also had the Gothitelle or Karras
Yeah,
did.
so Yotam, Toller, and Justin Karras built their team together. So those 3 all top cut with the same team.
Yep.
And so of those, 10 Gothitelles, 4 were Wolf-inspired Parish teams, and 3 were the Yotam Great Tusk team.
Still don't think our team was Wolf inspired, but maybe it was. No, I don't think it's fair to say that. But
let's say 4 were Parish teams, and 3 were the Yotam Great Tusk teams.
Yep.
And then
Um,
like Brady also had it. Geo had it. I might be missing some other people, but you know, it's oh yeah, Brendan Zhang. Brendan Zhang also had the Gothitelle. Just a lot of people identifying that Gothitelle pretty sick right now, and
actually, I think I saw some usage stats floating around from like top 128 usage, and it wasn't actually a lot of people identifying that Gothitelle was um, like great. It was that all the people who did identify that Gothitelle was great made cut. Like I think I saw that there were 19 Gothitelles in top 128, and 11 of them happened to be in top 32.
that is
It was
actually
just
so
a team
crazy.
rising to the top situation.
Mm. Do we have more to say about Gothitelle, or do you want my next take?
Oh, I mean, if you're ready to give yours, I did not give my Pokemon that performed worse yet, but I don't think I have one yet. I'm honestly
Oh,
I'm looking for more Gothitelles, and I found a Ditto. Somebody used Ditto? Got 39 with Ditto? That's
Do
hype.
it X2.
Who got 39 with Ditto?
Yeah, it was from
Insane.
who was this Mohammed Faizan with I guess the username Fizze. They had a Ditto just like leftovers Terra Ghost. I honestly like I have not given Ditto much thought like to the point that I'm like, what is a good Terra type for Ditto? I don't know. Ghost is pretty universally helpful, but like what?
It depends on what you're copying, right? Like you probably have a plan for what you're trying to copy. Like I don't
I'm
know.
not
Maybe you
exactly
say
sure
this is
what
your
I would
Garganacl
want to
counter,
copy.
right? It does sort of. No, it doesn't beat Garganacl. You get PvP stalled. Never mind. Um,
It's so funny. Just so funny to think about. Adi, you had a mon that you were
yeah. Okay. So throughout the team building process, my good friend Rajan, throwing ideas at me, and he really loved this Pokemon. It's Roaring Moon. He kept talking about it, and it was sixth in usage. It was basically Arcanine level usage overall, 28%. Um, and it bombed. There were only 4 in top cut, 12% usage, and I think the Mon sucks. Sucks is a little too strong. It's a good
still
Pokemon.
pretty good. It's just nowhere near top 10. It's
No,
like
It's just
okay.
it's pretty bad.
it should
I'm
not be the
roaring.
sixth best Pokemon. It's like
It
maybe the 10th best Pokemon in the metagame.
no shot.
In a metagame where Fluttermane and Iron Hands are the 2 best Pokemon, and Iron Bundle is the 3rd, and they all just threaten to kill it. You force it to Terra, and being a Terra Hog is really bad. I think it means that you have so much less flexibility in your game plans, and you really do need that, especially in a best of 3 where most good teams have multiple lines they can take. I am not surprised that it just did really poorly into teams that, one, knew that Roaring Moon was really common, and two, like you can abuse the fact that it was forced to Terra just to be able to sit on the field for even a turn.
Um,
Yeah, I think like my problem with Roaring Moon is like, or especially Flying Terror. I think there's other sets that need to be looked into so badly because Flying Terror, it's like takes up your terror, you get really low defensive utility out of it, and you get this acrobatics that like on speed booster isn't even that strong. It's not hard for most defensive Pokemon to just like calc for your terror acrobatics, and they're just not that afraid of it. I agree. Roaring Moon is like maybe hovering around a top 10 or top 15 Pokemon, but it's always felt like it's just so clearly outside of those top 5 to me.
um, like I don't think it's a top 10 Pokemon. I think that when I'm standing up for it, I'm arguing that it's like a solid mon and deserves like top 20 usage. Um, but I think that being a Terra Hog is actually more of a feature than a bug for Roaring Moon because the metagame has no flying types. There just like are no birds. And we saw this in the Toller and Yotam and Karis Crew's team, like Great Tusk popping off and uh, like responding to Great Tusk is actually just kind of difficult. And so Roaring Moon saying, I'm going to be a flying type and I'm going to be a good Pokemon is actually just something that you can like have in that matchup. And it's like not that easy for them to deal with. If they got like Bundle and Fluttermane, um, Roaring Moon doesn't mind taking the freeze dry that much. It's got like 105, 101 special bulk, I think. and it can shrug off Moonblast and Shadow Balls from Flutter, and just like nuke them back with the Acro. I think that Roaring Moon, like, uh, it it absolutely is a Terra Hog, and you want to build your team in a way that doesn't require you to bring it every game. But and Roaring Moon also has some other issues where it dies if it gets into it, like its damage completely craters if it gets intimidated. Like the mod has some serious flaws, but it also has some strengths that like mean that it shouldn't be like written off just because it had a bad tour. But it also has no business being 28% usage. It should be like maybe 12 to 15.
I'll jump in
No.
here with a take that is completely my own, and that is roaring mid.
So true.
So
Yeah, no, it's like kind of mid, but it has some clear strengths. It's just not good enough to like stand up to the level of meta scrutiny that a number 6 usage mon gets. Like, if you're that common, you have to be like really consistent and really good and always pulling off your stuff. And that's just not Roaring Moon's trick. It wants to be winning like some of its games and uh, be on a team that can that needs its strengths and can support it. And like it needs to have good synergy. It's not an Amoongus that is the synergy. Amoongus goes on a team and it says, "Hey guys, you have synergy with me. I'm gonna put their mons to sleep." That's not Roaring Moon at all.
yeah, sure. I will. The last thing I'll say about Roaring Moon is I think it's a bit of a Terra Hog, and maybe that's not a bad thing. Not to it's okay to build around a consistent game plan like that. But anyway, we could probably talk about Roaring Moon all day, and we've got a lot of other Pokemon to talk about from this tournament. I also wanted to mention really quick, just because I thought it very amusing, Dot Cypher mentioning earlier, playing against the Ditto user in the tournament. This story is just so funny. It says, I KO'd Fizze's Armarouge with my Armarouge, and then he used his Ditto to copy my Armarouge to get another Armarouge and KO my Armarouge. That's incredible.
Oh, that's so
I don't even know how these Armarouges are killing each other. I thought these Pokemon kind of just sat across from each other and walled each other. I used armor. They kind of like, they look at each other at least a little bit. I guess Expanding Force hurts, but like...
I can say that Jin didn't have Wide Guard. So
yeah, I guess...
it's not literally a Wide Guard, the Expanding Force, Flash Fire, the Armor Cannon type.
Yeah. They just... That's so funny. Yeah, this is just so funny to me. Anyways, if you guys have other mons that you think overperformed or underperformed, feel free to mention them as we kind of go through.
Yeah, I think
Go ahead,
one
Chuppa.
that I want to talk about is actually like Brute Bonnet. I think I had identified before this week and like, oh, I think this is like a really strong Pokemon, kind of like Nails was saying, like probably deserves 10 to 15% usage and is not seeing that. And I feel like this cut had a really pretty ideal amount of it. Like this is probably about where Brute Bonnet sits in the metagame. There are only 3 fewer Brute Bonnets in Top Cut than Amoonguss, which is just like pretty impressive. Over half the teams had one of these mushroom type Pokemon on them. Brute Bonnet's just a really good like Amoonguss / Breloom alternative on a lot of teams. I think especially kind of teams like based around some form of setup like Mouse Hands or Spam kind of just realized like, oh, Amoonguss kind of bogs down the pace of my team a little bit too much. Brute Bonnet gives me some of that in a more offensive package and actually gives me a way to use Spore, which is an amazing move. It's just really cool to see the Pokemon like actually seeing some results right out of the gate, even if like I think for a while people seem to think like, oh, this is worse Amoonguss. No, it's just Amoonguss's cousin.
It's honestly, I look at it sometimes and, think of it sometimes as just like the perfect blend of Breloom and Amoonguss, I did run Rage Powder on it, and I believe you did too, Chuppa. But not everybody chooses to do that. It is it's also interesting that the top 2 finishing Dozo teams landed on Brute Bonnet. I think that just makes a lot of sense. It's a Pokemon that can, control the board with Spore, but also put out the damage needed that a lot of Dozo teams seem to like. They often run a bit more aggressively, and Amoonguss doesn't quite match the play, I would say. I don't know. I'm speaking as somebody who doesn't play a lot of Dozo, so maybe this is just cap. mushroom capping.
No, that's a good way of looking at it. And I think like Carson also kind of identified this with his Miascarada on his top 8 finishing team. Grass and Dark is just like really strong offensive coverage for a Dozo team. I think Miascarada has fallen behind the times a little bit, but there's a good reason why it was like kind of a meta staple on Dozo teams in Series 1. Brute Bonnet kind of lets you get that in addition to like some of the perks of Amoonguss, who I thought was like an amazing Pokemon in Series 1, but just could never fit onto Dozo. Brute Bonnet really just gives me like kind of a lot of everything for Dozo, and I think it's like I don't think it's gonna become like a staple of it like Meowscarada was, but expect to see a lot of it on Dozo moving forward.
I'm a big fan of the
And
guy.
everywhere else too. Yeah, I'm a Bruce fan. Bruce is cool. He's a Moongus, but what if Amoonguss deals damage? Actually, that was Series 1. We got a little bit of a taste of that
That's true.
because Leaf Storm Shermer was also very good, even if we kind of sat on that one and didn't
Mhm.
get to like see the meta develop. But yeah, Bruce is spore, but also damage.
I love it.
Um, it, he puts you to sleep and then kills you.
It added something to my team in a way that I've always been very averse of running Amoonguss on Trick Room because I think like cool, you can really guarantee that Trick Room setup, and then yeah, you can also spore them to like, you know, I don't know, keep them from running you over. But then what? You know, the Trick Room turns are counting down. They are happy to be burning the sleep turns while you've only got one damage dealer on the field. But Bruce changes that completely. Brute Bonnet just says like, and now it's time to go in. You know, like I had booster energy on mine to do. I think I was the only one doing that. And that I'll probably cover more in the team report. But basically, just I found it more valuable to do dark type damage. I think that's something really cool because a lot of people see the loaded dice benefits, especially after seeing Maluka win with it. Like it's really cool to get these very consistent, strong damage on these multi-hit moves. But I just didn't think that grass damage was that big. I wanted to do some dark type damage. Dark type damage pairs really well with Psy Spam, covering ghosts and whatever. And yeah, just Brute Bonnet. Such a good Pokemon for Trick Room because it brings that Spore Rage Powder support, but also can hit just super hard. It is honestly, I had Mousehold on my team too, and I look at the Pokemon kind of similarly. Population Bomb does a lot of damage for a support Pokemon, but you have Follow Me. This is just kind of similar. Yeah, Adi mentioned at the beginning that team reports for everybody, as he was kind of joking. So likely that there will be a team report for all three of us. I can't say for certain. I guess and Adi and Nails are conjoined because they were the same thing.
A little bit, yeah.
Unfortunately,
I did hitch myself to Nails a week before the tournament and said, "Nails, I know you're cooking."
Unfortunately, Adi has to be in all of the team reports, so he'll be in my team report
well,
too.
Hey, if you want to record a video by yourself and just send it to me, I will happily not spend the hour of my time.
There you have it. I guess that's the workaround.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Brute Bonnet, and I guess combining the last two topics we had, Brute Bonnet is also a ground resist, and those are hard to come by, and that's another really cool aspect. Obviously, like Great Tusk kind of still gets to close combat it, but it gets to hit it back really hard and can potentially Terra out of it, and it does just like look really nice when you're looking at your type chart. And I guess if we're done with Brute Bonnet talk, I don't know if we are.
I wanted to echo Waka's take that he dropped in chat. Bruce sometimes, or Bruce somehow dodges 4-move slot syndrome by just being good with whatever 4 moves you want to run with it. And I've felt that as well. So a good take, Waka.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adi.
Misses protect or anything. So yeah, it's just like it can give up moves. I completely agree with Waka on that.
I was gonna say, overachievers. It's not just Brute Bonnet as a ground resist. It's also Dragonite and Talonflame that really overachieved in both its top cut. With 8 Talonflames and 7 Dragonites, both of which were I think around 10% usage or a little lower. And yeah, I think that all those, like we were talking about Roaring Moon and how it's forced the Terra to be a ground resist, and that might be worth it while, but like there are ground resists in the format. A lot of people managed to find a way to fit one on the team. And Talonflame and Dragonite were really cool Pokemon to see do super well in Top Cut, partially because they did so well into these ground type attackers that were really spooky for a lot of teams.
I have one more mon that I'll complete my pairing, which is Garganackle. I think Garganackle did poorly. I mean, it had 2 finishes. How deep did it go? Let's find the salty guy.
They both lost in top 32.
Yeah, I honestly, good for you, Garganackle. That's all. That's the best you deserve. I'm a salty hater. I think the Pokemon is just like currently where it's at. It just sits there. And like some teams are allowed to get away with that, but I think most people, if they're losing to you clicking the like 16 or like 1/16 residual damage, is it 1/8? 1/8, sorry.
It's an 8. Yeah, no, Saltire like a very good move, but
it is a good move, but I think that it just ramps up a little too slowly, and a lot of people are going to be able to deal with that Pokemon. It did well early, but I just didn't have a lot of faith in my playing with it. I just was like, this is it just watches all of its friends die. The thing we've been saying about like Pokemon since like 2016 about like Crobat. I feel like Chuppa was the one who said that a lot back in like 2016.
No. I mean, I'm a Crobat hater, but I think it was like Zactro who said that originally.
Oh, okay.
Angel has also
something
done it.
Zactro would have said.
I've heard Angel say this a lot. I don't know if he was the original one, but yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that some of Garganackle's issues are that much like Roaring Moon, it's being targeted by a meta that like knows it exists and cares about it, and so it's just not it's worse off than it ought to be right now, but like it's also used more than it ought to be right now. So, but like it shouldn't have a conversion rate that's this bad. Like there were a decent amount of Garganackles on the tour, just they all lost early, or like almost all of them, and
Since
it's just it wasn't a good bring for the tour. It's not going to be this bad, but it's also not going to be great moving forward. You're going to have to bring it on the teams where it fits precisely.
And also, I think that it's related to Brute Bonnet overachieving in that it matches up really, really badly into that. Like, you want it to be a Spore Switch in, sort of. Like, obviously, it doesn't actually match up that great into Amoonguss. It does get to be a Spore Switch in. Against Brute Bonnet, it gets Grass moved, and if it's running Terra Ghost to get out of it, as both in Top Cut were, then it gets Dark moved, right? It just doesn't get to sit in front of Brute Bonnet at all, and then you get to Spore and whatnot. And so it matches up so poorly into what ended up being one of the more common Pokemon in Top Cut that I don't even know if it's going to see that much of a time to see its time to shine in this series if Brute Bonnet continues to see 20% usage at high tables.
Yeah,
I mean, always thought like
Go ahead, Choppa.
Yeah, sorry. I've always thought that Garganicle's usage, like in Series 2, was super overinflated as a result of Maluka's win with it. I do not think the Pokemon would be where it was right now if Maluka didn't have, like, I don't know exactly what he did with it on stream, but overall, like, I think it was a Pokemon that he was able to use in a very convincing way. And I really just think people are like, oh, this Pokemon's the new best thing since sliced bread, and it's just not. Like you guys were saying, it's like it belongs on very particular teams, and you just can't slap it on everything.
It also had the Joe UX9 hype train as well, so that's two. Another content creator as well that was really hyping it up. And he won like a big tournament with it as well online. So
and those lunar teams, which is just like a very common version of standard to get passed around, and Garg was appearing on that when it's like, no, this is like, okay, top 5 usage mon's great, but should Garganical be your last? I'm not really sure if it should.
So I also want to give another shout out to Evan and mention this to you guys. It's in the document. I have it up on stream. Evan put together a separate sheet for the conversion rate Orlando stats. If you guys want to turn to that page, it's in the second tab. And Adi, I think, was going to do these numbers for us, but then Evan just messaged me and was like, "Yeah, I've got you." And I'm like, "Oh my god, Evan, I love you so much. This is so sick." And so
I haven't even looked at these yet. Oh, this is sick.
Yes, we got nails with fresh takes. Here. We got nails with fresh takes on this. It's fresh eyes. And honestly, I mean, if you look at the conversion rate, Pokemon that did better than their usage. The first miss is from Adi's, and I don't even know if Adi had looked at the sheet beforehand, but Roaring
I've
Moon.
been staring at the sheet the entire time.
Oh, he's a cheater. This guy's worthless, dude. I can't believe it. Yeah, Evan is so great. Yeah, Roaring Moon was a big miss, and then you scroll down, King Gambit, we haven't mentioned yet, but then there's Garg. There's mine. I didn't look at the sheet yet, but there's Garg. Garg is a big loser, too. Yeah, this is just so funny.
Wow. Okay, live takes that I'm going to drop. First one is that I'm shocked to see King Gambit's usage was that high. 15% of teams in the tour having it is crazy. Like, it was very good in Series 1. It is very ungood in Series 2. And
I think
people,
that people will fight you on that one, so I'm liking this hot tub take.
People will fight me on that one, and I will fight back. I think that it can be good, and it can find situations where it's good, but it's a Terra Hog, which it very much was not in Series 1. It loved being a Dark Steel type in a Hydreigon Goldengo format, and Hydreigon's completely gone. Goldengo has fallen off massively. It's lost like half its usage. And it just doesn't have as free of a like so its Series 1 shtick was it's going to be the biggest stat stick. It has the most stats. It's going to hit harder than you. And it doesn't do that against the Paradox Mons. And I think the Paradox Mons are like just like format defining. I don't think the Paradox Mons are used enough, basically. And like the top 3 Mons are all 40% plus used with Paradox Mons. And I just don't think we've gone far enough yet. Yeah, I think that just it's like Intimidate is less relevant than it was in Series 1, and it already that might actually be a mediocre take. I'm gonna walk that back. But specifically about Intimidate, but it just it gets pressured by Okos now and gets pressured by damage and doesn't get enough time to click Kowtow Cleave.
Yeah, I think it's really hurt by the low base power moves that it has, and so like Pokemon can kind of, and as it's been said in the chat, Pokemon can keep up with it. Like Iron Hands being #1 in usage is not going to be a good time for it. Sucker Punch seems well positioned right now. I think is the main thing that.
Yeah, Sucker Punch is very good, and that's its only good move.
Yeah. Other than that, it feels really hard. Oh yeah, Great Tusk, another Pokemon that I'm sorry that we just keep not talking about Great Tusk. I don't know. I guess we could give takes like Great Tusk. The Pokemon is just pretty crazy. It's got Tectonic Rage, whatever. It's got like it's the only Pokemon in the game that learns Tectonic Rage, you know?
It's reverse max quick because it drops your stuff.
Actually, it's not the only Pokemon that learns Tectonic Rage, right? Hariyama, of course.
Hariyama.
Which actually brings us to one of our discussion questions later that I want to jump to the front now. Here, let me go pull it up. How do I get to my Twitter and find the? I'm really like just out here. I'm worried that like something's gonna pop up. No, we're good. Here we go. Adi and Nails, I want your answers to this question first, because you know what? I'm not finding it.
Is this my question?
I'm glued to the stream. 5 seconds behind you're navigating.
There we go. I found it. Iron Hands and Hariyama, oiled up slap fight. Who's winning?
Oh, ooh, this is a good one.
So I'm sure Chuppa's had plenty of time to think about this, and so we'll come back to him. But Adi, Nails, we'll start with Adi. Adi, who do you think?
It's gotta be Hariyama. You know, I feel like I feel like it's just gonna do better like oiled up. You know, it's just I guess actually maybe that's not true. Maybe because Iron Hand is like a machine. It actually really benefits from the oil, right? That's what you do to machines. You oil them up.
I mean,
I'm changing my answer. I think it's Iron Hand.
That's not the kind of oil I was thinking.
Wait.
Well, no. One, do the sumo wrestlers get oiled up? I don't know if that's true. and that's terrifying to think about. So I'm going to drop that. But my theory is that they both benefit about equally from the oil. So that's just a wash.
I think I want to give it to Iron Hands because Iron Hands I think is going to win more with brute force by physically like overpowering Iron Hands, whereas like I think Hariyama would get a lot of power out of being able to actually grip. You know, like a fleshy being is going to be able to grip better than a robot, and so when you oil everything up, you can't grip anything. And so I'm sorry, but Iron Hands is just going to take this one.
Hariyama should be favored, but Iron Hands cheats by not being a steel type. Objectively should be a steel type. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
For some reason, like that CC should just one shot, but it doesn't, and so Hariyama gets kind of scammed.
I think I have to go with Hariyama on this. I think Iron Hands' computer brain just wouldn't be able to kind of calculate how the oil factors into things. Hariyama's an experienced fighter in his heart of hearts. He knows exactly what to do with this oil and how to overtake Iron Hands.
All right.
Does Hariyama get his flame orb? Like, is it active? These are the questions I want to know.
Yeah.
Maybe the oil comes in the form of like a moist orb or something.
Moist orb.
Does that activate guts? If Hariyama's got no damage ticks on his guts activations, I might have to start. I might have to like change my view on this.
We'll get back to the moist orb. I'm gonna have to think about how I'd balance the moist orb.
I don't want. I'm moving us on with away from the moist orb. I do not want to think about the moist orb.
Can they turn into fairy types?
My final take on it is that I do kind of agree with Chuppa now. That, you know, Hariyama's definitely got more soul. Hariyama's definitely got, you know, heart in the game. And so...
All right. Are we moving on?
We're moving on, Adi. Go ahead. What else do you want to bring?
Who wants to guess the... who wants to guess the top 2 Pokemon? 2, 3? Okay, there's a few Pokemon. Who wants to guess the top Pokemon that got in usage that got no representation in top cut?
Oh,
am I allowed to look at the list of usage?
You can look at usage. You can't look at top cut.
Yeah, sure.
No, that was in there.
I feel like there was.
I'm just like trying to cover up some of my screen.
I'm going with Grimmsnarl. Did that guy get cut?
Nope.
Let's go. 77 entrants, no cuts. Okay.
Wait, no,
Grim got one cut.
Grim cut. No, Grim cut.
Darn. Okay.
Oh, my guess is Dondozo.
Good take.
I'll go with Scissor.
Farigiraf is correct. Farigiraf did not cut.
And then Torkoal is also probably not in there.
Torkoal also miscut. And then the one that really surprised me actually was Iron Moth. Because I saw a few of them towards the top tables. It didn't do awfully on usage in top 128, but yeah, no one converted with Iron Moth either.
Dang.
One of my Indiana locals who I'd carpool with to events back in 2020 to locals with was X2, and I played him in round 8 or something, and he ended up missing cut. But yeah, no Iron Moths didn't cut either.
Farigiraf and Torkoal are terrible. Well, Torkoal's not terrible. Farigiraf is terrible. Iron Moth is good. I'm really shocked that it doesn't have any representation in cut. Like the one that I played in Swiss was very scary for me, and I was like, I don't know, definitely not a secure win against Iron Moth by any means as a Dondozo player. Wow, I'm really surprised that Iron Moth like had no reps in cut.
I'm scrolling down, and we finally hit Gothitelle at 6% usage with a 34% usage in cut. It was Goth's tour, guys.
Wait. So hold on. This is.
If you loaded up Gothitelle to the tournament, you had a 25% chance of cutting, roughly.
Yeah, okay, but if you queued up Stinjurner in the tournament, you'd have 50% chance of cutting. So you know.
It's a Wacka stays winning.
It was one of my 2 Swiss losses.
Man, there's so many funny Pokemon stories from this event. One relating to Wacka that we'll probably tell in full maybe some other time, but Wacka did power off his Switch mid-set at one point, I heard. So another funny story that I don't know when I was going to fit in, and I don't want to I almost thought about not mentioning it because it maybe it's like I don't want to slander any judges or anything, but when Toller was getting hack checked, he had handed his Switch to the judge, and the judge pulled him aside to show him something, maybe some team sheet error or something. The judge dropped Toller's Switch, like just, and it was a new OLED Switch, and.
I heard that the judge blamed Toller for it too. He said Toller like handed it to him awkwardly or something, like, which you're probably supposed to do for liability reasons, but Toller's also not going to sue the organizers. Just like to say my bad.
It was just so silly. Yeah, the judge did blame Toller again. Just such a wild story. There's
Maybe
like
the Switch was oiled up.
No. Wait, did Wacka actually have 5 of the same 6 mods? Let me see. Where is Jonathan
Melendez?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, sure enough. John did not have the mouse. Where's the mouse?
Wait, I didn't realize he had the same team with Stonejourner. That's so funny.
Oh, wait, but this is like so different. Like there's so many, like all of these decisions are worse than my team. This is tough.
Wait, this is the same team.
Oh man, this is just my team downgraded really hard. What?
How much money do you win?
Huh? Hold on. I'll have to run some calculations and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Because like I gotta see how many subs we get from this stream and how many whatever. I gotta see like what's my cut of Audie's ad revenue. When we do the team report.
I believe your cut is top 32.
He still hasn't paid me out for the last team report I did with him. You guys have to watch
yeah, I do owe you a candy bar.
That's true. Okay, so honestly, there's like a lot more to be said about the teams and the usages and stuff, and we gotta make sure we have stuff to talk about next week, so we might have to leave some of that for then. Mainly because
haven't talked about the elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room? Oh, that's true. Sorry, Great Tusk, but I don't want to talk about you. No, we definitely could definitely talk about Great Tusk. I don't know how much more there is to say about it. It had a pretty good performance. Let's go to the the Top Cut Explorer. Great Tusk had 10 usages, so like I mean, what is that? That's
it was 17% used and 31% of cut had Great Tusk, so very solid conversion rate. When you're the eighth most used mon in the tour, and you're like nearly doubling up that usage in terms of cut conversion, you had a phenomenal tour. Like it's
8th most used mon in the tour into 7th most used mon in cut is like not super surprising, but it did do very well.
Yo, who used the cloak?
Just from the percentages, like honestly, the usage stats in cut were like incredibly centralized, and I'm actually like looking at that data just kind of shocked by how centralized it is. But Tusk was definitely a good performer.
Dude, but like 10 out of 10 ground as well.
Expect Tusk. Oh yeah.
10.
I was saying that I really did not expect Tusk to do that well this weekend. My impression, like the past, I don't know, week preparing before the tour was like it was kind of falling behind the times, and like Talon Tusk was kind of on its way out. It might have like a couple finishes in cut, but I think the group that was working on it really seriously, where all 3 of the players made it into cut, were clearly doing new things with it. I think like enough good players used it that it still like did really well, and I was just wrong that it was like falling off. It is clearly a little bit more of a meta mainstay and not sort of just a fad of the week.
Yeah, it's cool to see a couple of the teams weren't Talon Tusk. They also find other ways to build around it too.
Yeah, I mean, the team that made it the farthest from James was just abusing it in Shadow Tag, locking down the ground weak Pokemon and just taking them out. Also built well around the fact that, like, Sylveon pairs really well with it. Fairy types love ground types. That's just been kind of a staple since 2016 VGC Gen 6, like, just Fairy is resisted by fire, or fire... whatever. Yeah, fairies, poison, and what's the other one? Steel. All hit by ground. Tusk is going to delete them, and so that it's just like a pairing as old as Primal Groudon.
I'm a Groudon.
Let's go. Nick did the same thing.
All I'm saying is you put Torkoal and Fluttermane and Great Tusk on a team, and you've just got Zerndon right there.
I've been trying to build that so hard, and in my Shodan team builder, it is named Groudon Xerneas. So whenever I get that finally fully fleshed out, you'll be seeing some good sun spam. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and move away from Orlando regionals, just because like there's like infinite things to talk about, and we might come back to it. And we have some other important topics to get to in this this week's show. That is, well, I guess like let's briefly talk about Series 2 going forward. What's that, Nick?
Oh yeah, no, we were planning on just talking about Orlando for a lot. It was going to be a great episode. But wait.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, no, they straight up just dropped this bomb on us. Like, what the heck? Okay, but before we get into that, I just wanted to mention here that like Series 2 not over. This is very different from leaving San Diego. San Diego, especially for like Americans, you know, we were like, you know, wow, one and done. That's it. Time to look at Series 2 was announced shortly after. Like it's just after, or was it announced before? I think it was announced after, right? Probably announced after. It all is blending together. We have more Series 2 tournaments across the world. I didn't list them in order of events, but I think Oceania is the next one, and then followed by there's a bunch in each region. You know, I guess not a bunch, but there's like at least one in each region. We got 3 majors in NA in Knoxville, Vancouver, and Charlotte. Europe has one in Bochum. Latin America has that one in Brazil, and I believe Natal, and then Oceania has one shortly after their international in Perth. So Series 2 is going to see a lot more development. You know, like we have all these online tournaments to keep the metagame moving, but regionals are where people go all out. It's where you get the best players. Like, I mean, anybody that's willing to spend $70 for an entry fee and then also, you know, cover the plane ticket or however they are traveling there, they're going to be putting their work in to bring the best teams they've got. So live events really drive the metagame, and I'm excited to see what Series 2 does because there's just so much.
Wait, someone just said Vancouver sold out. Is that true?
Oh, Vancouver sold out.
Yes.
I'm guessing Knoxville's still.
The ticketing scheme is like, I think every week for people that cancel, their new slots open up. So like on Mondays, I think they do that. I don't know whether it's happened for the night or not, but it's currently sold out, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. It was on my potential list, so that is good to know.
There you have it.
I was also not completely ruled out from attending it. I was probably not, but it was on my radar of I might show up for that. But that's good info.
Oh, this part was in the wrong section. Favorite parts of the certain tournament, but we'll come to that at another time. There's just too much. Let's move on to Day 2 Swiss. Yeah, so this is crazy. I had put out I just put out like a tweet like asking for people to like give us like questions and stuff to talk about, and then somebody like just linked this in there, and I like saw the tweet, saw them mention it, and I was like, oh, I'll come back to this later. I don't know what this announcement is. And then I get tagged in Discord like, hey, you need to rework the whole show. They announced Day 2 Swiss. I'm like, are you? No, that's just not real. Like an hour before the podcast, like basically, let's see, what was this? Yeah, 5:52, an hour before the show. That's such great timing. They've just blessed us with this one. So insane, so incredible. We finally get to give our takes on it. Thank you guys for sticking around for as long as you have. I mean, I hope you enjoyed listening to Orlando because that's also huge news, like to talk about. But this is going to be changing the game for the rest of the year. And format, like any format that we're playing. And so, sure enough, we are going to be receiving the same structure as the trading card game. And I think below here, I asked Audie because I was like making sure that I got a bunch of the questions. I wanted to get a bunch of like frequently asked questions addressed because I was also asking these questions. There's a lot of people that I imagine were like, we need Day 2 Swiss. The structure sucks. This needs to be changed. But not everybody knows what we're getting into. And so there's a couple of things that people need to understand. One of the things to start is I think one of the 227 number, right? It's in the table here. Okay, yeah, it's in the table. So, what's the threshold for 9 rounds, and is that the cap? And so, if you don't reach 227 plus, which is probably going to be relevant for Vancouver, they did just cap it. I don't know at what number, but they should definitely have over that number, but just barely. If you don't have over 227 players, you will not have a day 2 Swiss. You will simply have 8 rounds of Swiss with your typical top 8 cut, which is just 3 elimination rounds, as it says here on the table. And so, but these tournaments, they've all been mega huge. We've been seeing huge numbers. It is kind of funny that the, like, next window is just pretty much where we're going to be for the rest of the season. I don't see us going much below 227, and I don't think we're going to break 800 after Orlando failed to do so.
Orlando was going to be it. So
yep,
we're not going to hit there. But
so
if we had Dallas as in like the first slot, that was the only way that we were going to potentially hit 800, because Dallas is like really easy for like every American to fly to. Orlando is like probably the second fiddle to that. And might have also hit 800 if it was the first tournament. But yeah, it's we're going to be comfortably in day 2 Swiss range for almost everything. Like if Vancouver was later on in the season, it might have been at risk, but I think it's hit it. I'm almost positive that it's at day 2. And like every other regional is in a good enough location. Maybe Hartford, but Hartford should be fine.
Yeah. Oh no, of course Hartford's going to be there. East
No,
Coast
I thought about it for a sec. Like I'm trying to think of potential exceptions, but yeah, just like everything should
there
be
aren't any.
Hartford registration hasn't got up yet, right?
Hartford's
it's everything up to I think Vancouver is up. We don't have Charlotte yet, and that's the last Series 3 regional for us.
I was mixing up Hartford and Charlotte. Okay,
yeah. I think that maybe Fresno, if people really don't feel like going to Fresno, which is kind of understandable. If you're not on the West Coast, it's kind of hard to get to.
There's just no way.
Kelly's got 180 players by themselves. Like
right, and also it's the last regional of the year.
It's the last regional of the year.
571 signups. We're not going to struggle to hit day 2 at any events.
Yes.
I promise, you know.
I think Portland is going to be the only one that has a small sliver of hope of missing day 2 Swiss, but like even then, like I think Portland's going to be the smallest. I don't think it's going to be that close to missing. 227 compared to the numbers that we've had is like just not in the realm. Like, yeah.
So then the next question we have here is, will they be able to stream the full second day? We've been seeing this in VG where and we were talking about it earlier with Maeve in the chat, but basically they have like contracts that do not let them stream every round, and they have a certain amount of time that they can stream for, and so they aren't able to stream 10 rounds of Swiss. So even when we go back to 9, we were seeing that last season in 22 that they couldn't stream a full 9 rounds of Swiss. On the second day, we're going to see 8 rounds in most of these tournaments. You know, there's going to be 5 rounds of Swiss and 3 rounds of cut, which means that we're probably going to see them stream, as Adi said here, wait, so is this, they don't stream the first 2 rounds of day 2 Swiss? Okay.
That's what Angel said about TCG. So I assume it could be similar for VGC. TCG rounds do last a little longer, so like maybe they don't stream the first 3 rounds, but like they don't stream the first 2 rounds of Swiss in day 1 either, right? So it's probably pretty similar.
Do they double dip on any of the cut rounds?
I think they're probably going to keep double dipping in top 8 and then doing both top 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious.
Right. I think they're only going to do 1 round of top 8. Actually no, TCG has an extra round of Swiss. Because they consistently hit 800. So if they're trying to keep the streams the same length, which they're doing for like logistical workday limits, then it'll be 2 top 8s, 2 top 4s in the finals.
Mm-hmm. And for what it's worth, I think we also get a lunch break in day 2. At least we did at Internats.
Lunch break in day 2.
Oh, we don't. We got one in Internets, right?
Don't think
We
so.
got okay. We definitely. I think we got one at Internets this past year. And I guess someone who actually made day 2 Internets should probably answer that.
Oh, okay. Well, apparently we did.
Okay,
We
yeah.
didn't in
Yeah.
past years, but I didn't play VG at the NAFC this year. So
Yeah. So I think that means that we'll probably have lunch breaks at day 2 Swiss. And then they'll stream 2 rounds of Swiss, or two games in Swiss in round 3, which I really like because it kind of showcases the players who are doing better and not just picking on name recognition and then watching Wolfie beat someone who we've never heard of and then not getting Wolfie in round 7, which when he's playing someone who is doing really well.
I had a 6 set against Wolf, and that should have been streamed. Wolf probably had a bunch of other sets that also should have been streamed.
He was on stream against Chungjun, I think, which was also very hype. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So
I don't really know why we
like,
need lunch breaks during day 2. It's 5 rounds. Just have a good breakfast before the tournament.
I agree.
After Swiss is done, you're gonna have a break before top cut. These day 2s are really gonna drag on. If it's 5 rounds of Swiss, there's a lunch break in there. Top 8 and top 4 both get double dipped. Like, if you're not somebody who's like actually playing in the finals, it's probably going to be a little bit more likely you might just be out of the venue doing other things by then. Like, it's not exactly worse, but it's very different. And it's really going to like mess up with the, I don't know, kind of like time economy that we're used to for day 2 so far. I'm mixed feelings about that.
That's true. I do like having most of a Sunday at regionals. We had a lot of fun on Sunday after we all got knocked out. Not Chuppa, of course. He was too good. But the rest of us,
I wanted to go kart. I couldn't go kart.
Yeah, you would have gone go-karting? Oh, man.
And so being done by like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock would be really nice, even if we play through day 2 Swiss. And, you're competing. You have to compete because like top 16 versus top 32 is still a big deal. You're still like getting money and still getting like packs and stuff and CP, of course. So you are going to play it out unless you like lose a bunch of rounds early on. It just sucks that oh, and also you might not get top 32 either, right? Like you have to play out for top 32 because you could get 34th or something. So you get to play it out, but then you do, especially with the lunch break, kind of miss out on all the Sunday activities instead of just being done by like noonish.
I'm glad that Waka mentioned this too. It changes the time that you're able to book flights for if you want to account for day 2 Swiss. It's going to run longer, and yeah, as we were just saying, it does limit things that you can do on Sunday. If you do well, then it is going to take up a lot more of your Sunday. Whereas like for me in this tournament, I got knocked out in top 32 and was just like, okay, I'm going go-karting. I'm going to the aquarium. Whereas, you could lose that first round of Swiss, of day 2 Swiss, but you still have a chance of cutting, which is good. I do like that. That's a good thing. But it does mean that it's going to take more of your time. And so you have to play the rest of those rounds to find out. But overall, it does mean that you can, hit a matchup that was unfavored on the second day and still have a chance to make it all the way and win the tournament. Resistance is a important thing to look at.
Just before we move on, just 5, like if you start at 9 o'clock on Sunday, which is a little bit late, but it's also like a reasonable-ish time, or maybe 8:30, and the rounds take about an hour, then you're still done with 5 rounds of Swiss by 2 o'clock. And so the late afternoon, early evening flights still are very, very viable.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you top cut, just you made enough money to book another flight.
Yep. Or delay it or push it back or whatever. That only applies
to 8 players in the tournament, which is 1% of the players in the tournament, and they can either book a later flight if that's what was available to them, or just deal with it. Here's some money to go solve the problem.
Yeah. No, those are some good points. So for Resistance, how does Resistance work with a second day of Swiss? And yeah, it is going to reset and only look at the second day of Swiss. Your records will carry over, though. So if
when
you
Emilio
are...
goes 10-0, he keeps his record.
What's that?
When Emilio goes 10-0 at the next tournament, he will keep his record.
Yeah. And so he will go 9-0, importantly. So we do have that one fewer round, and I think somebody else mentioned this, or I think Burns was pointing this out to me, that means that you can have like 2 9-0s at the end of Swiss, in certain if the numbers shake out that way, I think. And so, yeah, you could just have 2 people 9-0. They will, of course, be playing each other when the second day of Swiss starts, because you are going to be playing against people of the same record. And this is an important thing to talk about for looking at like Orlando, what we got to deal with for Orlando. One, the tournament ran so long, but if we chopped off a round, that would have been a huge bonus. 9 rounds versus 10. The other thing is, and while we didn't get to prepare for Top Cut because the team sheets weren't posted until 3, now I don't care when they post them. If I'm 9-0, that's one thing, and I know exactly who I'm playing against. But if I finish X-2, if I'm 7-2 going into the second day, I don't know who I'm going to be playing against. I don't know. Like there's too many people in the field, so you get to kind of like you get 1 extra hour because of like 1 less rounds, and you don't have to spend the night all prepping for a specific matchup. You get your Saturday back. You get your Saturday night back, and you can actually, have some fun. You still got to get a good night's rest, of course. You're going to be waking up early, showing up at the event. But
you get an extra hour in the night, too.
Yeah, it's really nice in that respect.
Do we think they should post team sheets Saturday night before Day 2 Swiss?
That's a good question.
I don't think they should either. I agree with Chuppa on this.
I think the answer is also
same
no.
reasons as what I said before. Like I hadn't even thought about like how much this Day 2 Swiss change like impacts the Saturday night like time economy. And I wanted to do good things for my Saturday night at tournaments because I felt like I was kind of robbed of having a fun one of those at Orlando. It's not like top cutting one of those 8-round regionals that we had in the past where it's like, oh, you got to have dinner with your friends. The sun might not be down yet. We left the venue at 11 and just very, very little to do with your night at that point. I think teams should not be posted. You should not be labbing out your potential matchup Saturday night. Worry about that when you get to top 8.
Oh, look at Adi.
We did. Oh, sorry. James asked, literally raise your hand if you went to that TGI Fridays in Orlando. And I did.
Oh, I see. That's what you meant.
I didn't make it to TGI Fridays. I'm so sad.
Let's see. I guess the other question about open team sheets is when do they drop them? Because they seem to not be very good about just flipping the switch and releasing open team sheets. Are they going to do it after the last round of Swiss?
We need the Japan Nats like just bulletin boards where they put the graphics up with all the moves. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
Okay, Adi, when you're editing this video, you can put that the bulletin boards up.
You think Adi's gonna actually edit this?
I don't edit any of the top takes. It's too much work. It's 2.5 hours long. But like legitimately, like there is a genuine question about are they going to post team sheets at all? Right? They might not have to, because they might say, yeah, like you're gonna see the team sheet in 30 minutes after you finish hack check. But then it also sucks because then if you somehow dodge stream or like your opponent missed it, they might have less time to prepare for your team than someone who did actually have the time to scout or have their friends scout or you appeared on stream or whatever. And then all of a sudden that whole scouting network thing comes back into play for Top Cut. Not tremendously. You still have all the information in front of you, but
I have the solution. The solution is randomized cut. We need randomized cut pairings. That's something we've needed for a while. For the reasons that we've been mentioning, it's less bad with like Day 2 Swiss, but randomized cut pairings is also just the solution we were supposed to have for getting my Saturday night back complaints of if you don't know your pairing until you show up at the venue, you're just playing Pokemon against whoever you dealt, and you don't have like incredibly lived out matchups. So like that's one of my issues with Top Cut, and it's like it's at its most problematic for Worlds Finals, where Pokemon for forever has had this horrible format where they only play the finals on Sunday, and so both finalists have labbed the matchup to death, and it's just not a real game of Pokemon. It's every player knows their moves and knows their opponent's counter moves, and they've like just run a ton of analysis with their friends. They know all of their damage calcs, and Pokemon's a worse game when it's played at an extraordinarily unrealistically high level, which you can only get to with hours and hours of prep dumped into a specific matchup. And I'm not saying Pokemon should be played at a low level. Just that's like it's like chess when it's being played by super high level grandmasters versus chess when it's being played by AIs. And like you get some cool stuff out of the AI chess, but it's more just this is not what the game looks like when it's played by humans. This is very clearly um, a different game, and Pokemon when it looks like that is just it's worse.
I like the analogy.
Is what we need. You like in reseed, like even from top 8 to top 4, you should be able to queue into any of the 3 opponents. Just and you figure it out like a couple minutes before your match. Good luck, have fun.
I think that this is a fun take that we talked about it like a couple weeks ago, I remember, and I don't think there's I get that there might be some issues with it, but I think it's really interesting. And as Nails was saying, it's a very different game of Pokemon, and I think that as a spectator, it just makes it a lot more exciting. Especially like I have been the person that's helped friends prep for cut. And so then when I watch it, it is just like watching like this script being played out, and it's just like, okay, yeah, no, this is just so boring.
The other thing is that we also need top 8 played on Sunday at Worlds, or all of cut played on Sunday at Worlds, and Nats. Like again, like if you have a night to prep, you're going to the points that I just ranted about. Like if you tell the players come back tomorrow, congrats on making cut, we will tell you your opponents when you get there. Then you get to see actual Pokemon being played as it's been played throughout the tournament and the entire year. And this is just what the best players in the game look like when they're playing Pokemon as they've played it. And it's just a more pure expression of the game. It's way more enjoyable to watch. Like, it's more enjoyable to play. Like having been in those positions quite a bit. Not a flex. Just like when you've already figured out your script for the game, it feels robotic, and you've already planned out. I can make the reads here, a read here, here, or here. This is the best point to make the read, and I am going to make the read here because this is the most optimal. Because if I miss the read, I still have this fork later on where I get back into the game, but I hardly win the game here. It's just it's a like it is how the game gets when it's giga hyper optimized, but the game it's also not pure Pokemon, and it's like it's whack and it's not as much fun.
All right, I'm gonna cut it off there because randomized cut is not gonna happen. So we as interesting as it might be, and I do agree with some of the takes. It probably is just not gonna happen anytime soon. So
Sure.
let's talk about some of the other frequently asked questions, and then we'll see if we can fire off some quick takes at the end about some of the other day 2 things and other questions that we have to respond to. So, how many people make day 2? Everyone that goes 7-2 or the top 32 players, whichever is larger. So I don't know around what number that break happens. Maybe we could maybe somebody else knows better than me, but basically it's pretty simple to understand. If you have Orlando, there was how many X and 2s? It was like
42 or something.
42. So then all 42 would make it to the second day.
Actually, so for Orlando, that was 10 rounds, right? So there would be a little more than that because we have only 9 rounds.
Yep, yep. Okay, so then there's even more people going on to that second day, but otherwise, if you have like one that's like barely breaking 227, you might see somewhere like between like 18 and 20 or something. I'm just making this number up, but like as an example, like 18 or 20 X and 2s, and then they will fill that with the top whatever X and 3s.
The cutoff from me plugging in random numbers into the top cut calculator is about 350 for no X3s making it.
Okay, so somewhere between 300 and 400 is going to be like about close to like 350 odd you mentioned is going to be where, yeah, X and 3s don't have any hope of making it in. It's just basically X and 2s. And anyway, what time will tournaments end now? Or should I? Yeah, we talked about that, how flights will have to be done a little bit later, and what record will top cut? What records will top cut? 8 and 3s will top cut, but some might miss. Depends on the exact numbers. Some like the internets. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I think that day 2 Swiss is going to be a pretty crazy new concept for a lot of people. And hopefully we address some of the questions people had, as well as some of the just like things that are outside of the like literal like mechanics of it. You get more time Saturday. You get to enjoy your Saturday night. It's a very different tournament structure. We've had it at internets, but having it at the regional level is going to be just really exciting. Overall, we've complained about some aspects of it, but I think it's a net positive, a huge net positive for the game. And yeah, it would have been so nice to have this at Orlando, but I think Orlando was just kind of like going to be the catalyst, the one that like showed that we like really needed it, and that's like fine by me. I think that going forward, having this change, this fix is going to be really good. Oh, the number is like around 356. I guess some more people started plugging in numbers and really finding that number. Nice.
Yeah, like it does get impacted by like drops.
I was gonna say drops.
But yeah,
drops. For sure.
Speaking, one more thing about D2 Swiss is that I really have to give a shout out to Sohaib, who finished 33rd at Orlando and 33rd at San Diego, and just kind of got fucked over by the current system where he didn't have a chance to like prove it by playing it out, and just instead had just barely bad enough tiebreakers and miscut, and with a day 2 Swiss system, he would have had made day 2 Swiss and had a chance to like play his way into cut when he was playing at a level where he really should have cut, at least Orlando for sure.
Oh, I just found another point from Burns that mentioned earlier is that opponent history does not carry over. We've seen this at plenty of other major level events, but you can fight somebody that you fought in Swiss. If you both make it to day 2, you can get that rematch. We've seen that actually happen. Like some people have gotten the rare triple dip, which is you fight them in cut afterwards. Yeah.
It's not even that rare, because if you're sitting at the top tables, like there's a pretty good chance that you queue into each other at 8-0, and then you're both still at the top tables because you're both crushing it in the tournament, and you fight in day 2, and then sub homie, we've seen each other before. Let's go for round 3.
That is very true. Yeah,
I've only had a double dip before, but yeah.
And then the resistance doesn't carry over though, so just the resistance from your second day. So we already mentioned that.
But have they had a best of 15 before? That's the real question.
A best of 15. Oh god.
Shout out Players Cup 3.
But I was gonna say Players Cup is fake. Players Cup is so fake. After the first one, it got old. I'll give it to Santino.
Okay. Here's what I also want to mention is that resistance is really weird with Teachers Swiss. I don't think we really emphasize this. Your records carry over. Your resistance is not.
Yeah,
and your resistance is only based on the record that your opponent had in day 2 Swiss, which means that you could reasonably play, if you start out 9-0 and you go, 2-3, your resistance for your opponents will have a 2-3 on their record, even though you ended up going 12-3 and guaranteeing yourself top cut. Or sorry, 11-3 and guaranteeing yourself top cut, more or less. So it really is a weird system for resistance. I really wish they would change that and look at overall record, at least for day 2 Swiss players. But yeah, so that is something that is worth noting. It's kind of in the weeds, but D2 Swiss does have some weird ways of calculating tiebreakers, and some 11-3s are going to make cut, and some 11-3s are going to miscut, and we're all going to be salty about it because the resistance makes no sense.
Should I go into the weeds a little bit on this? Just
If you
about,
if you can keep it quick, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So basically, like you're a 9-0, you play another 9-0, you lose, you have a 1-0 on your schedule. Now you're at 9-1, and you play an 8-1 player who started off with a win, and so they're just like 1-0 for your resistance, and um, you're at 9-1, and it just like that's basically it. Is like starting from the top means your opponent wins, but you're also fighting against players who win. And usually, or like if everyone's starting from 0-0, if you lose, then you have a winning opponent for that round, but your opponents later on are going to be worse off.
So you end up having a really good resistance, but it also means you have like less of an incentive to actually win, at least at a certain point, which means that your opponents might actually have a really bad resistance because they played the person who did well in day 1 Swiss, which is super weird.
You do not want to hit the 9-0 to 9-3 guy if you're trying to get into cut on resistance. It's really bad. And from the flip side, if you 9-0 to 9-3, you're still like sitting relatively pretty if you just have to get 11-3. Like you're going to make it, probably. It's not guaranteed, like your opponent's can lose, but the math is very heavily in your favor. Win early, win often.
Love winning early and often. Okay, so let's head into the end here and talk about some of these discussion questions. Let me we kind of covered the first one about which Pokemon did better or worse than we expected. And so this was an interesting one brought to us by Burns. Does Maluka and Wolf winning with known teams change how one might prepare for future open team sheet tournaments? Does anybody want to go ahead and hit it first?
Yeah, sure. So I think that it's more of a like. I don't think it's as much of a factor of being open team sheet is, and it's more of just the size of the regionals. Like we're being hit with multiple factors that are like heavily shifting, or at least not heavily, but like minorly shifting the preparation meta. And just when you're playing massive tournaments, the field has so many players, and so you can't give that much attention to any one specific player. And so, like, secrecy is just less important. It still matters, but like secrecy just is taking two big whammies. Open team sheets is probably still the bigger one that makes secrecy less important. But like if I know that James Evans is going to roll up with the team that he's been spamming on ladder for the past 3 weeks, like cool, that's what one player who's got a pretty good shot of being in cut is going to do. That doesn't it moves the needle a little bit for me on what I'm prepping, but honestly, it might just push me more toward like concerting ripping some ideas from what he's using more than just countering him. Like you don't win a tournament by countering one guy. So,
I do think that if I know a team, like I do think that I am a little inclined to prepare for what they're running. I don't think it really matters that much because the odds I play them are so low. But I mean, if I knew what a player like Wolf or Emilio were running ahead of time, I probably would like at least look at my matchup. No, I wouldn't change my team for it, but I would like to play test the matchup ahead of time. And if I knew a large team building group was running a team, like we saw the Yotam, Karis, Polar group, and they all cut, right? If I know those are 3 really good players running the same team, that is going to be something that I want to look at and try to play test against at least once. Again, not going to change the way that I build my team, although I do consider it part of the wider metagame. But it certainly is a team that I want to know how I want to approach, even if I'm not playing it, at least thinking about it a little bit. Yeah, I guess that's kind of my extent of what I thought. I also don't think it really matters for this large a tournament because the odds of you queuing into any specific person is so low. And you're, yeah, like you can cut by, I don't think people's prep is very good either. I think a lot of people just prep by laddering. And so
I think that is good.
I think laddering is super inefficient prep. And I have played basically 0 ladder games with my team for the last 3 regionals, and I've cut the last 3 regionals I've attended. And I think that laddering is super overrated. But it's good for exploring a format. It's good for testing concepts, but it's not good for like figuring out exactly how you enter your team, exactly figuring out your lines. And I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah.
I can tell you, Adi, that the prep process for your teams at the last 2 regionals have had a lot of laddering put into them. Just because you weren't doing the laddering doesn't mean that laddering wasn't vital for the process.
One thing that I want to say,
exploration phase, right?
One thing I want to say, hold on, is about laddering, is that we saw Paul Chua post that he was the account with the 86 GXE on ladder. Emilio was like #1 on ladder, just kind of parked up there. Both players that top cut this tournament, Emilio 10-0 in Swiss twice in a row, and Emilio is known for being a bit of a ladder hero. I obviously don't know Emilio's full prep process. I'm sure that Emilio plays plenty of best of 3s, open team sheet practice along the way, but I think that you can't discount ladder for getting learning player habits is one thing. I've said this to a number of times, but I think that players that ladder a lot encounter certain situations more often than other people do. And so when you get into those situations where it is a read, where you have to make a call, Emilio and those players that play a lot of ladder will have a bit more familiarity with what way players tend to lean. And so, you know, whether it's like, oh yeah, when I'm on the last turn of Tailwind, most players like protect this Pokemon. And so they just like, they're able to make a bit more, I think it also saves like a bit of time in the thought process. You don't have to spend as much time thinking about a specific turn because you've been in this situation before. You know what to do, and so you can just start thinking turns ahead. And so I think that the ladder heroes just their minds move really fast is basically what I'm saying.
I'm really interested how some of these like other top cut players in chat are talking about how few best of 3s they did. I'm just like blown away at how different some people's preparation for the tournament is. Like Nick, I know that you have like really extensive ladder, but then also like a lot of best of 3s that you really needed for the team. Like Alex, I guess you probably didn't ladder like quite as heavily or play best of 3s quite as heavily, and that still worked out for you. And I was like, I guess probably closest to what you did. Didn't have tons of best of 3s, but enough with like other dozo teams that I was able to, kind of know how the archetype worked. It's just really interesting how such like different processes work for different people. Like I kind of hate laddering myself, but understand how important it is. Like, I guess going back to the central topic of Wolf and Beluga, both of those being like kind of known teams, I think the most interesting thing is just like how these well-built teams by world-class players both kind of just caught people's attention before they'd even like kind of alt revealed themselves. In Maluka's case, like I know Baxcalibur ended up taking on a completely different form as other people used it with Pokemon like Salazzle, and then Maluka kind of comes back at the end to steal the spotlight with the original version. And, kind of the same thing going on with Parrish here. I guess just this version that like went on to inspire some other people kind of ended up being the one on top. It's just interesting how that's all played out.
I'm going to use that to segue us into another question. This one comes from Toller, saying, how much of a change do you think Wolf winning with Parrish will make? Will it be just a blip of people trying to adopt it and fail, or will it be something that earns lasting presence?
I think that part of it, a big part of it, is that Gothitelle did really well, right? I mean, there were four Parrish teams in Top Cut, and Wolf's team is, I think, the hardest to use because it doesn't really have as good a non-Parrish mode, and so that's just something that you can like always lean back on. When I was playing my team, I could always not go for a hard Parrish. He kind of had to rely on Parrish to take at least a kill, if not two, in his sets. It's really hard team. I think a lot of people are going to play it because Wolf used it, and because they like Wolf. and I think they're going to struggle with it. I think good players are going to be able to use it well, and I think it's going to impact the metagame in that like things like Goldengo are going to pick up in usage. That being said, I think the bigger thing isn't that like Wolf's specific version of Perish is really good. It's that Gothitelle is really good, and counters to Gothitelle are just kind of inherently counters to Perish to some extent, regardless of what variant you're playing against. And so I think as a result, we're going to see more targeted hate for Gothitelle, which coincidentally means that Perish is going to have a lot tougher time sticking around in the metagame.
I remember talking to
Yeah, the
Nick
take that
at dinner about this. Sorry, Chuppa. I remember talking to Nick at dinner about this, about how Perish is a team that does not do well with a target that's on its back.
Yeah. Yeah, I can riff on this. So basically, the parish it was something that people were talking about, but nobody was sure how good it was. That's just like the collective wisdom of the community. And so I was very comfortable rolling up with parish. I mentioned it before. I was not practiced with parish at all. And my version wasn't hard parish, but it seemed like it was going to be a very good play for the tournament. And I cut, so like
Mhm.
calling that and like it won the tour. So, but, yeah, that's. But it's there's a lot of stuff that you can do. Like you can just like slap volt switch on a mon, and it already is like really cutting into Parish's edges. Like you start having to do whack stuff. Like if you lead AV hands Flutter main, and you have a ghost type on one side and volt switch on the other, it's just already that is really tough to hard Perish through. So Perish definitely has other game plans. It doesn't have to just hard Perish its way through 4 Pokemon every game. But for example, if you start seeing Grimmsnarl, maybe it wants to run Parting Shot more often. Terra Ghost Garganackle starts to like gain a little bit of value in that matchup because it can pivot out. It has some other issues that we discussed earlier in the episode, but just like finding the random Terra Ghosts or pivot moves to give you some utility in the Parish matchup is something that teams are going to start doing. And like it's probably just a little bit of a like meta inefficiency that Parish and like Wolf specifically was able to capitalize on for the first tournament of the format. But like yeah, Fluttermane has a free move slot. Like Dazzling Gleam is a good third move, but it really just is allowed to run stab, Perish, protect, and it's a very good move set. And so just like Perish is not going to be. I'm not going to say it's the play for any other tournament. I think it was the play for this tournament, and moving forward, it's just going to be something that you can run, and it's going to be fine. But you need to have other Perish game plans. I don't think hard Perish is ever going to be the play again. Soft Perish might continue to be really good and got fun.
I think the Trick Room setters this format, a lot of them are really aggressively mediocre. Stop using Farigiraf, start using Gothitelle and just like all sorts of different Trick Room teams, and you will probably be better off. Like you guys were saying, I think just Gothitelle appearing on different kinds of teams after we've remembered, like, hey, this well-statted Pokemon with one of the best abilities in the game, and Fake Out for some reason is good. Gothitelle's probably going to become a little bit more of a meta fixture after this, which is not something I'm looking forward to playing against, but it's a good Pokemon. Its usage took well to catch up.
What do you care? Dondozo can't switch out anyway.
So true.
That's the
You
part
need
that
to
makes it
switch
hard.
into the Dondozo.
That's true. I think that's why I thought Ashton's team had a pretty good chance because it had that the Volt switch on the Iron Hands. I think that Dondozo teams already do at least use Ghost types, right? They've got the Fluttermane and Goldengo on them pretty often. So, but it does limit your options. Switching is a key component of Dondozo, right?
Okay, real quick.
I hadn't even thought about how much I specifically have to be worried about Gothitelle. This is not a good realization.
I'm pretty sure I would have known about this. Terra Ghost Dozo can't switch out of its Tats trap, right? I'm pretty sure I would know about that. So I'm gonna say that it can't.
No, I think that's a completely different kind of trap, unless like I'm kind of talking out of my ass on that one, but I'm It would be
I'm
so
giving
crazy
it like a
if we could switch
3%
out.
shot that works, but I don't know that it doesn't. But yeah, that's just like a shower thought.
So let's see. What were some of the other questions that I wanted to address in here? Feel free to check out my tweet if you guys had any questions that you want us to tackle before we wrap up here. We're probably gonna do like one or two more just because we've been running so long. And so we had let's see. There was somebody somebody was asking about oh yeah, there was the Freeze Eye one, of course. Though this one got like 53 likes, so I'm like, okay, yeah, that definitely needs to be addressed. So Freeze Eye says, do you think VGC would be better off overall if the community could ban Pokemon like how Smog on Doubles does?
I mean, okay, I'm the Smoke on Doubles player in the call, so like, I actually talked about this with Freeze Eye at the tour, but like, so the double like 2v2 Pokemon just has a lot of resilience for dealing with brokens. In singles, like with the ability to wall stuff out by just sitting in front of it, like broken mons are just kind of broken. In doubles, you can just, if something deals too much damage, you can just hit it with your guys and kill it, and it only dealt a little bit too much damage for the game, and it just kind of is fine. VGC has definitely had some stuff that it's needed to ban since I've started playing. The most egregious one was Dark Void in 2016. That was so stupid. The devs gave it 3 separate distinct nerfs, both direct and indirect, to kill it. But I don't think that anything else has really needed to be banned since then. And I think that VGC gets along fine without it. I don't think, like, for this gen, there's nothing even close that would be that would, yeah, there's nothing really that would be close to needing a ban. Like, they're never, I mean, okay, I think the game probably was better off played without Dynamax last gen, but they were never going to the gen gimmick. But like, that's the only thing other than Dark Void that I can think of that like would even like there's, I guess, probably some stuff that would make the game a little bit better if it was banned, but like Pokemon TBCI is like shown they're very, very unwilling to ban stuff because they didn't ban Dark Void in 2016, and it's also, the game gets along fine without bans in almost all cases.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think Dark Void's Miracle is like the only thing that truly needed an outright ban. Besides that, everything is fine. Like, I think there's a few things like, I don't know, perhaps Evo Boost or Dondoso that are like on the silly side, but ultimately don't ruin a format. And ultimately just like, I don't know, it's an interesting discussion, but TPCI is never going to let us vote on bans like that, or the fact that like Smeargle
sure.
didn't get banned is like kind of interesting on its own. I think there's just some processes going on there that made it hard to ban, even if it was something that had all the communities that you know, most of us would have agreed on it at the time. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's something that we would need, barring something quite as bad as Miracle, and even then, we probably wouldn't have a chance to ban it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think a lot of the bans are not because they're overpowered, because they're unfun. Like, I mean, Dark Void was probably a little overpowered, but also very unfun. And in formats that weren't GS Cup, it was more unfun than overpowered. Same with like Moody, for example. Like Evasion Clause in Smogon is a great example of that. Where like, yeah, like Chansey is not fun to play against. I'd rather have Chansey not exist in VGC tours. Not no, sorry, not your 2017 Chansey.
I know what you mean.
Like, you know, minimize Chansey. That stuff sucks. I'd love to see that banned. It's not overpowered, right? And the reality is, if you have a Pokemon like Zacian in singles where it outspeeds and OHKOs everything, you can't do anything about it. You're just losing every single turn. But in doubles, we just put 2 Pokemon on field that KO Zacian, and it gets to take 1 KO, and then you KO with the other one. Like, it's not perfect. They could protect, and then they can, you know, do damage to the other slot or whatever. But like, at the end of the day, that is just the way to deal with powerful Pokemon a lot of times is just put 2 things on the field that can KO it. And yeah, also one more thing related to what Neil said is that Dynamax was fine. The problem was Gmax Wildfire type effects. If they banned Wildfire, Volcalith, Vine Lash, and Cannonade, the game would have been totally fine for every single format.
Whoa. Oh, hold on. I didn't realize we were
That's
coming out with the
that's
scalding
spicy.
hot
I don't know
takes.
about that one.
What the heck? Hold on.
That one is spicy.
Wow.
Audie,
I
we have to
actually-
get off the call soon. You can't just drop a bomb like that.
I did it at the very end so that no one would respond to it.
What
I
the
like
heck?
that,
All right, guys. That is all the time we have today. I'm gonna have to talk to Audie off air
we're
for
ending
this
on
one.
That one? Oh no.
No, man.
No.
Wow. Whoa, guys, please do come
Now
back
you
next
guys
week.
have a reason to come back next week.
Flame
yeah.
Audie in the comments, YouTubers. Come on.
Please come back
Boost
next
our
week.
engagement.
Please come back next week. Audie will not be on that one. I will make sure to find different people to fill in. We're gonna work on this.
We might have a special guest next week, by the way, so you definitely want to tune in next week.
That is hopefully the plan. No spoilers yet, I guess.
Next week's gonna be good.
But we won't wrap right away there. But yeah, there's like so many questions here in the reply to my tweet here, so I appreciate everybody's responses. I'll probably just save them for next week because there was so much to talk about. So thank you guys all for replying. I also didn't mean to just like cut us off after Audie's take there. I just think it is steaming hot. But that is pretty much going to be it for this episode. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to fire them off while we wrap up here. Nick, go ahead.
Just that DOU has been like most of the DOU bans are just like mythicals, like Melmetal's insane, Magearna's insane, Marshado's insane. A lot of the mons that are legal are either broken in DOU for DOU specific reasons. Like Annihilate is a lot stronger in 6v6 than 4v4. Same can be said for Dozo, but they're just like fine in VGC. But yeah, okay, that's all I had.
Yeah, I guess I never spoke on the thing. I also spoke with I was hanging out with Freeze Eye on Sunday and was talking about the idea of it, and that it's just like in VGC we just kind of like solve the problems when a Pokemon is like strong and has a lot of presence. You just find ways to deal with it. You know, I think that like from my understanding, like I heard that like Fluttermane is banned in DOU, and I'm just like, what could possibly have done? I just am lost on that one. You know, I'm just like, I guess
the thing is, they have this mon called Chi-Yu that makes it take Okos on everything.
Ban Chi-Yu, dude. I don't want to. I'm not gonna make excuses for the ruined Pokemon. I'm not gonna make excuses for the ruined Pokemon. Ban those guys. Those guys suck. I did never.
Probably are supposed to be banned, but yeah, it's a different environment when those guys get added to the next. Spoilers for April and May.
I do not. Yeah, no. The snail can stay. That's true. The snail can stay. Yeah. I don't know. I think that I have enjoyed. It is always feels like a puzzle. The meta game where it's just like, okay, here are these top things, but they obviously have like a really big target on their back. So you either can run those and build around beating the counters, or you can try your best to build a team that targets the top meta Pokemon and has a good matchup into it, and then, you know, abuse the fact that they are really high in usage. I don't know. It is never... I've never felt like a metagame needed to have a certain Pokemon banned. The Pokemon that I would see banned would be... I don't want to see those ruined Pokemon come and, like... Dondozo's a little limiting, but, like, whatever. Again, it's just... it is in the list of Pokemon that I'm just, like... We deal with it. This is what we've done for years in VGC. This is just how we play it. Like, you don't get to just say, like, I wish that Pokemon wasn't a thing, because we don't do bans, and so you just have to think harder, work harder, whatever. And it feels really rewarding when you do find those answers.
You can also just be Chuppa and dump, like you're building your puzzle, right? You dump out the puzzle box, you grab the biggest piece, and you say, this is my team, and you have 2 medals from the first 2 regionals with your Dozo.
I don't even understand that analogy a little bit. Puzzles don't have a biggest piece.
I'm a little confused. I mean,
puzzles, since when do puzzles have the biggest piece? This is really showing how Nick is like on 2 hours of sleep right now and has been up.
I was intentionally making a bad analogy. I swear. Like Dozo's just a stat stick, and Chuppa like does play standard stuff very well, and like like this is not flaming him for it. It's just like I'm saying he's putting together his puzzle by looking for the biggest piece.
That is not how
Wait,
puzzles.
what was the thing that somebody said like after one of our first in-house tours? Somebody asked like, "Hey, who in here plays really standard teams?" And you just said something like, "Oh, well, look at who won that other tournament." It's like, wait, yeah, I am just that guy.
He's just that guy.
Actually, I really think VGC does not have anywhere near enough of those guys. By the way, like you're like rolling up with standard is just like a very high EV play. Like on average, you're going to do pretty well if you roll up with the better mons and not the worst mons. And just VGC is filled like the Pokemon community in general, like not just VGCers. Like everybody wants to win with their favorites. Like just straight up, there are a lot of Karen quote like vibes from the Pokemon community. And like yeah, standards. Um, there's some elements of how the game works that like contribute to that, but also just the community kind of runs bad mons for the sake of running bad mons.
Yep, stat 6 are really good. I think this is just like I don't know, something that interested me about Ashton's team instead of mine, but using like Roaring Moon and Iron Hands where I have like Palmot and Talonflame who like I'm not certain if either of those Pokemon have a base stat total above 500. It's just interesting to see like, oh, hey, maybe I could be using stronger Pokemon than I actually am, or instead of weaker Pokemon, maybe held up by some gimmick. Yeah, stat 6 are great in VGC.
And a big part of the puzzle is trying to figure out how to use them in a way that does well into a lot of the counterplay, right? Like that's a big part of it. Is like, okay, the good Pokemon are good. We know that. Nails and I ran 5 of the top 6 usage Pokemon this tournament, and we both caught largely because and you'll hear this in the team report. Nails specifically figured out how to build it in a way where we beat the mirror and we beat a lot of the other stuff. And we had more options than everyone else. So yeah, like use the good Pokemon.
The top 6 used mons and cut, by the way.
We really did.
Because we get to jump Gothitelle into the top 6, and so yeah, we just straight up had the top 6.
That is funny. That is great.
Oh my god.
And also, it means you get to outplay your opponents. You know, just
yeah.
play better.
Yeah, no, that was something I like said after my round 3. Is like, wait, using the good mons is broken because like if you make one good play, then the game ends because you like your mons are better. Like you still have to play well, and you still have to build a good team that capitalizes on their strengths, but like you have bigger margins if if the teams have equally good synergy, which is not always the case. Like and synergy is still very important for team building. But all else equal, if you're using better mons, they tend to beat the worst mons. All else equal.
Nothing wrong with using
this format also have like really strong synergy with each other. Like among, I think it's not a stretch to call like Fluttermane, Iron Hands, Iron Bundle, a Moongus, Arcanine like the top 5 in the format, and the synergy there is just kind of unmatched with like the top 5 that we've seen at any other point in time for like. I couldn't tell you like what other format the top 5 just mesh together as well as those guys do. And then last one, it could be Gothel, could be anything.
Just nothing wrong with having a good sandbox of tools, you know, just like having like the best in role for like a number of different Pokemon there. I don't know. It just works really well. Chalk. People are talking about Chalk now. They're mad that.
Okay, wait, what letters do the names start with though?
I think they had like too many vowels. You have like a Moongus and Iron Pokemon. It doesn't work.
Well, I mean, those guys are Hands and Bundle, but
yeah.
I'm joking, anyways.
Wait, what was wrong with calling it Chalk? We had 2018 Chalk.
We don't have a ground type or a flying type. Chalk had 2 flying types.
I know, yeah, we do have too many vowels, and that's not normally seen. It's normally just all consonants. Okay, yeah, honestly, Big 5 is like fine. I don't hate it.
I'm fine with Big 5.
That's what they are right now. And you get to have it's not Big 6, so you get to have a little bit of creativity in there. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this one. I think we've gone longer than we were supposed to. It was because they kind of dropped a last minute news bomb on us. Appreciate you guys hanging out for the extra length though. So not just the people watching, but like I mean like Chuppa, Nick, Adi. Thank you guys for hanging in there. Sorry that I made it go so long. So we're skipping that, but yeah, feel free to give us any feedback, whether that's on the YouTube video or, you know, if you want to, like, just DM us or reply to a tweet, whatever. We would love to hear if there's anything you want to see in the show. Do you guys have any shout-outs that you want to give before we get out of here?
Shout-outs to everyone who came up to me and also Alex and said that they love Tub Takes. It was I met so many of you guys at Orlando Regionals. Some people I know and some people I hadn't, but it warms my heart to know that so many people are listening, you know, using our advice, taking it to heart, and doing so well at tournaments. It was great to meet all of you guys.
Yeah, I agree. I'm stealing Adi's there with the same thing, just because like there was a lot of people that like, you know, like people that even like I have known for a while, but I was just like, I don't imagine that they're like a veteran player. They probably don't check out Tub Takes, and it's like, no, they're just like they've been listening every time, and it's just like it's so cool. And then of course, yeah, all the new players that are like this has been really helpful. That it's just awesome. It was like that at San Diego, and I think just about as many or more people were approaching me about it at this one. So it's awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, seeing the reception from this has like blown me away. I thought it was going to be just like a fun time to hang out with friends and talk about the game, and like 15 people watch, but we were hovering like 60, 70 viewers constant throughout the night for 2.5 hours. And oh, like Dane's saying, the chat is stacked. Like I think like a third of the people that have been into its chat cut Orlando.
Kind of true.
Which actually, come to think of it, is probably just because they wanted to hear themselves talked about. But don't worry about it.
Yeah. So
No,
now
I
to
agree. I love seeing all these names in chat and just like the support for this. This is my first time on Tub Takes. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to like be a part of this. But just like this has been so fun, like reading chat, talking with you guys. Just I have to come back.
Yeah, it has been a great time. The chat's been great today. Thank you guys so much.
Shout out to George Differman for requesting a shout out.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say everyone wants to hear their names, so now we are gonna go to the Victory Road page and end off the stream by reading off all 128 names.
Actually, I think that, you know, we're just gonna read that if you sub, we will read off your name. You know, it's that simple. Thank you, Chuppa, for the sub. Thank you, Dane, for the sub. Y'all are the goats.
Yeah, there was some. We got a lot of followers throughout the stream and subs. We don't normally read them during the Tub Takes just because it's not like good podcast material. But appreciate everybody that did follow or sub throughout. And
we should definitely drop the subs mid-cast.
Yeah, I guess maybe we should just read them.
The subs can get a shout out after a point gets made.
You know what? Honestly, that's fair. Yeah, thank you for the sub original name. Awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome to Tub Nation. Yeah, and we were just talking about YouTube. This is going to be on YouTube in a couple of days. Oh, and Robbie too. Awesome. Thank you so much for the sub. Welcome to Tub Nation. Yeah. We're going to be on YouTube on Wednesday. Adi's going to make that happen. That's what Adi does, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it for this one. We've already did the something witty. I forgot. I don't even know. I feel like I don't normally put the script on screen, but I don't really care if you guys see what I'm going to be saying because it's like whatever. I don't do intense scripts like Adi where I write down every word that I'm going to say in every moment. That's going to be it for this one.
Hey.
Go ahead. What's up, Adi?
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, it's not the good part. It's not the good part. Let's. We've
Okay.
gone too long anyways.
I was gonna say like I'm not gonna just like drop that on you and then not let you respond, but